finally do Hackers. We were going to do the show last week, but something cropped up and it was all very last minute, but I did promise we would do it. With me tonight doing it is Gamer. Hello, Gamer. How are you, mate?
Good evening. Doing well.
And also, we've got Scotty. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
And we'll be having Jill join us as soon as she can. She's very excited to take part in this one. And before we go any further, Spandex, it's a privilege, not a right. Do you agree?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's only certain people you want to see in spandex, and the rest just shelve it.
As somebody as an increased person of stature, I don't do spandex. I don't think there's enough beer in the world or spandex in the world to stretch across my exceedingly fat ass. I'm gonna catch up with the chat in just a second. I am just getting myself sorted. Let's see who's in there. Oh, Jill's in there, so she'll be joining us soon. Not Brian's in there too. Gamer, you're in there. Flav, hello, Flav. Automatic. Thank you for joining us this evening, whoever and wherever you may be. Also to Mog. Miss Martin Muses is with us too. Gavin Blackburn, Franco. And I'm going to say, well done to Melvin Deeply. He was the first person to get in there because I know there's a bit of competition going on where people want to dive in on the chat and say first. So well done to Melvin. Also, we've got Finity, the timey-wimey limey in there. And without further ado, we're going to crack on with this because I've been waiting eagerly to sink my teeth into Hackers. And it's a cracking film. I love it. By Ian Softly. Is that right? I seem to think so. A few facts about the film before we kick off. Hackers is a 1995 film, not 1985. I did put that on X earlier today and did it on the account for Monday Night Mayhem, which I couldn't edit. And then I realized, and I'm like, oh, been having one of those days. It's an American crime thriller of sorts, directed by Ian Softly, starring Johnny Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, Jesse Bradford, Matthew Lillard before he was Zoink Scoob. Also Lawrence Mason, Renely Santiago, Lorraine Bracco before she was in The Sopranos, and Fisher Stevens. Oh dear, Johnny Five, I'm being beside myself. Do you remember him from Short Circuit, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great character actor. Wasn't he in was it not Time Track? Was he in Time Tracks or something like that?
He was in Lost.
Yeah, he was in lots of things.
He had a bunch of episodes in the television series Lost. He was in Columbo. He was a good villain in Columbo.
He does make a good... He's either a really nice guy or he's a complete and utter douchebag.
Yeah.
There's no in between with him.
That's all right.
Some people are like that in real life, though, aren't they? They're both a bit of pleasure and pain. We all know somebody who's hard work, but we love him regardless.
I've apologized on several occasions.
I wasn't aiming at you, Scotty.
I kid. I was fishing. That's all. I was fishing for Stevens.
Oh dear, you're being beside yourself, Scotty. Sorry,
Johnny
that was terrible. The film received mixed reviews from critics when it came out, and it underperformed severely at the box office, but it's gone on to achieve cult classic status. That's why we're here talking about it now. Its original budget was $20 million. Any guesses on how much it made back at the box office?
7.
Oh, not bad. Oh, Scotty's closest, $7.5 million.
Wow.
Oh.
I'm sure it's made far more than that on DVD, VHS at the time.
Rentals,
yeah. And there was some good product placement in that film as well. We'll talk more about that as we go along. But the story starts on August 10th, 1988. 11-year-old Dade Zero Cool Murphy is basically, he gets done for hacking. He released a worm and it went around and did a lot of damage on lots of computers. And so he's basically ordered by a judge. He can't touch a computer and he can't touch a touch-tone telephone until his 18th birthday. And his family's fined at the time $45,000. That's equivalent, apparently, to around £116,000. and he crashed a total of over 1,500 computer systems, causing a 7-point drop on the New York Stock Exchange. So, yeah, he's a bit of a bad lad. He's a naughty boy, but, we'll let him off. And he gets busted, basically. You can't do that kind of thing and get away with it 100%. His mum's happily making breakfast. And then, door comes crashing in, as you do. And then he's in court. And the judge says, "You're a naughty boy, Dade Murphy. You're going, you can't go to juvie, but we will fine you heavily." And, he does the old, "I'm a bad lad. Oh dear, what have I done?" So then we end up with the credits. And I noticed as Dade and his mother are flying to New York from Seattle, presumably, the skyline, as the plane goes over it, you're looking down on the buildings, and the buildings slowly turn into microchips, and the streets turn into circuit boards. I really love that. That was a really cool element of the actual opening of the movie. I don't know if anybody else noticed that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it gives you insights into Dade. That's kind of what his mind is. Even all these years of not being allowed to access a computer, that I at least that's how I read it. Is that as you're flying over, that when he, even though his eyes are closed in this particular shot, that as he's looking down, that's what he sees.
Yeah, I was a bit enamored because I'm a bit of a geek with electronics. And I was like going, "I know that chip. I've got 2 of those. Hang on, I know that chip as well." Yeah, sad but true. So 7 years later, on his 18th birthday, his court ruling's lifted. And what does he do on his first night of freedom? He's straight on a laptop. And do you know what makes me laugh about this film? All these laptops. I mean, back in the day, we used to call them crap tops for a reason. They were absolute crap. You could do hardly anything on them. You could barely play a good round of Doom. Anybody have a laptop back in the 90s and experience Doom frustration?
I didn't. I had gaming PCs or consoles.
Yeah, I had a 386 or a 486 at that time.
Yeah, that would have been about right for that era, wouldn't it? Yeah. Because PCs, let's face it, they were still in their infancy. If you had a PC at home, you were either rich or a geek or, you were very resourceful and you had a need for them at home, whether it was doing something business-wise or doing something really naughty. So anyway...
Well, unless you count playing Leisure Suit Larry.
I suppose
that brings back memories.
But no, like we started off on a Tandy and worked our way up. Like my folks had, my mom was a teacher, my dad worked for the government, and so free stuff. And we got it, and I was totally hooked, and I was playing all those old Sierra graphic adventure games. It was rad.
You didn't have a Trash 80, did you? That was one of my first experiences with home computing. But then again, I had a lot of Commodore machines back in the day.
There you go. Yeah.
My dad asked me one Christmas, "Well, what do you want for Christmas, son? More than anything." And I said, "A Commodore 64." My dad, being the cheapskate bastard that he was at the time, even though he was making loads of cash, was sat watching me on Christmas morning open up my present, and I thought, yeah, that's a Commodore box. Opens it up, and I saw a 6, but no 4 after it. It had got a 1 in front of it. He got me a Commodore 16 because it was £200 cheaper.
Oh,
much disappointment, and it got less usable memory than a VIC-20.
Yeah.
Saying that though, the Commodore 16 has a special place in my heart, and it's still one of my favorite retro computers. I've got about 5 of the things. There's another 2 on the way. The wife doesn't know about it as of yet, so I need to keep that very quiet. I think we have another guest. Jill is finally with us. Hey. Hello, Jill. How are you?
Fantastic. Just got home. Super excited to talk about this movie.
Good. Does it bring back fond memories of 1995 for you at all?
Oh, sure. Definitely. Well, unfortunately, I didn't watch it when it came out. I first watched this movie with my then boyfriend, now husband, when I was in my early 20s. We were both in school for computer programming. So somewhere between 2005 and 2008 is when I watched it. But I loved it all at once because since I didn't see it when it came out, it was not the near future science fiction that it was supposed to be for me, because I was already at that near future. So all of the silly graphics had me giggling, but
Yeah.
then my boyfriend would tell me all the things the movie got right because we were both in the same field. It's
And I
just so fun.
like the fact that it highlighted the back end of phreaking, because Dade hacks into somebody else's phone line and uses
Yeah.
it to go out there and do stuff, which I
Oh,
liked.
and
And
my husband, my boyfriend, he did that. He used to freak phones, the payphones. Not like on a regular basis or anything. He just wanted to try it to see if it would work. And it
just
did.
on a leisurely pace. So it's 3:20 in the morning. Dade's still up, wearing his sunglasses, and he's doing what we used to call social engineering. He rings up the local TV station and basically socially engineers. He does what Kevin Mitnick did best. He got on a phone, pretended to be in the know, and got information. Now, this doofus here is reading all the information off the modem. I love that screensaver. That's classic. Hey, did anybody have the warp speed one? That was one of my favorites back in the day with the early versions of Windows.
Oh, for sure.
You got
There's
to have
another
it.
part of the movie that shows another favorite, the teapots all over the place. That was a famous one. But
Yeah.
the social engineering, that's a real thing then, and it's still a real thing now.
I
And
can't do it. I mean, I used to be really, really good at it back in the day, for getting information from people that shouldn't be telling me stuff. But I don't have the basically the balls to do it. I don't know why. Maybe it was just a bravado and an age thing for me at the time. So Dade's managed to get himself into the local TV station's computer network, and he's hacking away. He doesn't like what's on the TV. So there's like how can I put it? Some guy who's spouting bile and bilge. So he runs a program that takes over the remote videotape loading system. So he goes in, checks out the library, and decides he wants to watch something else. So look at that. That is the epitome of cool. He's not zero cool there. He's proper cool, isn't he? I love Johnny Lee Miller. Great guy.
right, that's why he changed his name to Crash Override or something like that.
Yeah, he didn't want to be known as Zero Cool. So we'll get to that in a minute, because you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit there. But we'll get to that in just a second. So yeah, he wants the outer limits on. And he, like I say, he's hacked into this system. He gets the outer limits on. He cracks open a can of a very well-known soda pop that's associated with Atlanta. Less said about that, the better, because they're not paying me any money. So anyway, this comes up on the screen. You've tread upon my domain, and now you must suffer. Who are you? As if hackers did that. You'd be lucky if you'd get like an IRC type screen back in those days. Anybody used to use IRC? I hear it's gone the way of
IRC,
the
yeah,
dodo.
no, yeah. I used to work for a programming company, and they used IRC just as a chat room.
Oh, I used to love IRC. The amount of time I wasted on there.
Yeah, for sure. Just getting together with friends and like with a case of Jolt Cola.
we
I
never got that over here. Well, that's
we got
such
it.
a shame.
I also love the double meaning of using outer limits to take over the TV, because that's exactly what the TV program says.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with your
It's a bit
television
of
set.
a delicious irony. What about you, gamer?
What's your question? I missed that.
Oh, it's all right. Hello, computer. It's all right. It's all right. We'll move on. I was
A
just asking about
keyboard, how
IRC.
quaint.
IRC. Did you use IRC back
Oh,
in the
in
day?
college, yeah, I used IRC. It was funny because that people don't think that the internet existed back then, but it did.
Oh,
And
yeah.
as you point out, the screens were not what you would see even in the movie. But yeah, no, you had little group chats that you could set up.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was
Yeah.
like having your own little clique, wasn't it? It was like you got all your in jokes, and The thing
Well,
is,
you
though,
felt kind of special. You were doing something, and people didn't know that it was even out there.
yeah.
The mid '90s, before Al Gore invented the internet, kind of period of time.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Oh, right.
instead of admitting that he's zero cool, he backs it up and becomes crash override. Who wants to know? He wants to know. Acid burn. That's a call. This is gonna be very important later on in the film.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how she got in. What was her story? Did she do social engineering, or what? Did she go through the network? I wanted to see her
I
side.
don't
Uh,
know. Apparently,
Well,
she
and
was.
but
also
Her
at
mother was
this
a
point,
socialite, wasn't she, on the book scene?
oh
Her
right.
mother was an author, so she was well connected. So it probably something to do with that. She probably garnered information at her mother's parties and stuff like that. Anyway, you were saying, Scotty.
Well, this is sort of inherent to the I can't operate. This is my son. And it's like, oh yeah, so the mom's the doctor kind of thing. And like we don't find out who acid burn is until later, and we do end up finding out that it is it's a lady. So this movie is woke.
Yeah.
it's not woke. Diversity is not woke, Scotty.
Oh, this is way
Ugh,
before
that's
woke. What are you
I
mad.
know.
talking about?
Although there is some mild feminism in this movie, but we'll get to that later.
A little bit.
Oh man.
And I love this on the screen. Acid burn says leave before you are expunged. The last time I heard expunge used in a movie was in Moonraker. When
Oh
Drax
nice.
says,
Oh,
when
yeah.
Drax is on his space station, Jaws, expunge them. Oh dear, it's a
Yeah, well,
great
this is
film.
the first. This is the first animated gift battle. I can't. I
Yeah.
love it.
It makes me laugh how there's certain elements of the film which we will talk about later. I don't want to say too much, but you have to laugh at how big these file sizes would have been back in the day and how quickly they load and how they all fit in a 1.44 floppy. Oh, beggars belief. But, you've got to have that bit of delusion or illusion in a movie. So a battle ensues between Acid Burn and not Zero Core.
Crash override.
Crash override. So I have to keep stopping myself. So we've got this nice sort of, all these programs flicking in and out. And, the battle ensues. I will swat you like the fly you are. And then, and then there's a dogfight. And, it's on like Donkey Kong, to use a phrase. And then we get stuff like this. This is atypical of the hacker scene back in the mid 90s. Mess with the best, die like the rest. That is something you would have seen in that kind of thing back in
But
the
it might
day.
have been. It might have been in lead speak though.
Yeah.
Then
Lead
that would
speed.
confuse. That would have confused the audience, so they didn't go with that. I'm sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the wannabes in the crowd, they all say leet quite a lot, which is quite funny, really. Because I bet
Well,
they
and
couldn't spell it how people online used to spell it back in the day.
I also love that battle because it shows how the programming can affect the real world, and that's an ongoing theme throughout the movie.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Whoever controls the flow of information controls everything, as they say. So the next day, Dade's mum says, what were you doing last night? And yet again, he's straight on the soda pop. I should have covered that up, really. Let me get rid of that image because it's free advertising. So basically, she chases him and he locks himself in the bathroom. And it's like, were you on a computer? Were you messing with the phone? What time did you go to bed? All this malarkey. And she's basically like, you're going to do it again, aren't you? You're a bit of a ding dong.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happens between 1988 and now, in the transition between Seattle to New York, where obviously the parents have split up due to the financial burden of Dade's actions. Dade goes with the mom, and the mom has to take the job in New York, and it is definitely a downgrade because we see him getting sort of arrested is the best way to say it, for his crashing of 1,207 systems. But yeah, so like I do enjoy that this isn't a tell situation. It's just shown to us the progression of what's happened since his conviction.
Yes, and
True.
also and since his mom is a single mom, she has to work all the time, so she can't be watching him all the time. So she's like, "Are you up to anything bad or nothing stupid?" And he said, "I'm still a virgin." And I don't know why he yells that.
Yeah, it's a weird interaction with his mom. It's like, I'm just looking for someone as classy as you or something like that. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Dade, reel it in.
He might be a virgin, but he's still an ungrateful little bastard, which is quite funny, really, if you think about
Sure.
it. But look at that. That's atypical youth culture of the 90s. Inline blades. Did anybody have a pair of inline blades back in the day?
I did.
Why
Is
am I
this
not
historically
surprised?
accurate? Oh, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, it's
1995?
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
inline
didn't have
skates were
them.
a thing. Were
Yeah.
were you big on skating at all, gamer?
Yeah, but I'm older than this period of time. My roller skating period would have been like late 70s, early 80s.
Hmm.
And that would have been like when people used to go to the roller rink. Uh,
Yeah.
I never did the inline skating to school. I mean, I know people when I was in college that would be zipping around. So I guess it's somewhat accurate, but not
Yeah.
not the skateboard. I mean, I had a skateboard too, but I am not one that would have done this going to school or to college. No.
I bought a
Yep.
skateboard based purely on watching Back to the Future. And I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, I'm going to be good
Yeah.
at this. And I was absolute junk.
Yeah. Oh, ditto. Same thing. I watched Back to the Future. I got a skateboard. I fell off of it and I quit. And then one day we got a dog and I had these rollerblades and I was rollerblading and I was like, what a great time to just all go rollerblading and walk the dog. So the dog stopped and I didn't. And so yanked me off my feet, fell, and I gave up again. So yeah, the moral of the story is can't win, don't try.
Well, and you raise a great point about falling. I mean, you see him there on the sidewalk. You've got the cracks in the sidewalk. Well, I grew up in an urban area too, and guess what? Skateboards and roller skates aren't really good when you have the bumps in the sidewalk, unless you're really good at it. I was not good at going over the bumps. You know, and
No.
where I grew up, we were lucky. We had an area that got blacktopped with kind of a tar road, so it was very smooth. So that was cool riding down. You get some good speed going, but the problem is then you have to stop, and inevitably somebody's yard or something would be the good stopping point. So I'm like with you, Scotty. I bought one and had it for a while, and then this is a little dangerous. So I was
Yeah.
never one of those kids that could go to the roller park like they do now and do the flips and everything.
I'm
Oh,
allergic to
wow.
pain.
All these memories coming back for everybody. I hope it's the same for everybody in the chat. Feltz5 says the soundtrack of Hackers is so good. And it is.
Yeah.
It really is a fantastic soundtrack. I love it to bits. Home built PC. Yeah.
Nice.
Let me just have a quick catch up with the chat. Feltz also says Commodore 64. Yeah. Oh, you got to have one of those. What else? Oh, Franco Walker says he grew up with a ZX81, then a Specky. I was never a fan of the Spectrum. I don't think you had those computers in the States.
I don't remember them, no.
No, it was a small British computer company, and it kind of took off. Phelps also says Spy versus Spy on the Commodore 64 was awesome.
Yes.
It was. That
Absolutely.
was a cracking game. I
Yep.
tell you what, I still love playing now. You ever play Commando on the
Yes.
Commodore
Yeah.
64?
Yep.
Do you know, I know the guy who did the soundtrack to a lot of Commodore games. In fact, a lot of games back in the 80s and 90s, a guy called Rob Hubbard.
Wow.
I know him. He goes to a couple of the events that I like to go to. A friend of mine did an album with him, and it was recorded just basically 3 miles away from where I live. And it was like, oh, can I come down? Can I come down? And he's like, nah, you can't come down. Oh, which was a bit of a downer for me. Flav says my mate used to be a phone freak. Yeah, I've got to admit I've done quite a lot of that back in the day. Finity, the timey wimey limey says Acorn Electron, 32K, 8-bit graphics, software loading off for a cassette. Aye, but we were happy in those days. We were happy in those days. Although that Commodore 16 of mine, it came with 4 games, and 3 of which would not load. It was just lucky. There was a company in the UK called Mastertronic, and they used to do the 199 series. That was £1.99 for a game on a cassette, and it was absolutely fantastic. You
My-
know, if you didn't
that
have
was a
much money,
Well, my friends had a cassette. I only had the disk drive, for the Commodore 64. I had friends that had both the cassette player and the disc drive, so they weren't rich, but that was considered like cutting edge back in the day, having them both.
Yeah. Do you know something? I'm planning on rebuilding a Commodore 64. Somebody's reissued a circuit board called the 60 Clone. So I got one of those for Christmas and for my birthday recently. And the kids all grouped together to buy me a brand new Commodore 64 case, the bread bin case, the
Wow.
original design of the Commodore 64 case.
Yeah.
Somebody has bought the molds and started making them in modern plastics so they don't age or they don't wear down with ultraviolet light on them. The only downside is that it had to come from Australia and it took ages for it to come, but when it did. Oh, Franco says hi to you, Jill.
Yeah, hello, Franco. And I also wanted to add that even though I didn't rollerblade, also Matthew Lillard, who plays serial killer in this movie, didn't either, and he did it just for this movie, and then never did it again after.
He was actually pretty good. That was one of the thoughts I had watching this film: is are they actually skating? And they are.
Yeah. Johnny Lee Miller actually hurt himself having to learn how to inline skate.
Oh wow!
But if you notice in this scene here, he does skate really badly. It's almost like he's trying too hard to skate like he's using ice skates.
Yeah.
Well, and being Canadian, that's probably how I approached it myself.
Yeah, it was mandatory, wasn't it, back in the day, Scotty?
It was, yeah. I had to prove myself, prove my nationality.
Yeah. I remember, at school, we all had skating lessons, but everybody could skate anyway. So it was just a good excuse just to play around and be silly for an hour. But it was always good fun. And I don't know if they did this in your neck of the woods in Canada, but during the winter time, the fire department would come down to the open air rink and come down and just spray water on it. And then the next day, usually a Saturday morning, you'd get up really early and go skating.
They did that in my neighborhood when we were kids.
Pardon, Gamer? What did you say?
I said they did that in my neighborhood when we were kids. They'd
Really?
park across the street. I parked literally across the street from my house when I was a kid. They would plow out the snow and everything. And then, like say, one day they would, run the water. And then as long as it was cold up north, you had ice rink. So like every day for, I don't know, about 10 years, you go ice skating after school across the street from my house.
Oh, I've got such good memories of doing that. Oh,
I'm actually a really good ice skater. I'm terrible with roller skates and stuff, but years ago when I was dating my wife, around this period of time, the Pettit Ice Center up in Wisconsin was built, and we went skating, because my wife's thinking, I'm going to show him up, and I'm Mr. Eric Hayden, man. I'm whipping around on the ice, going backwards. It's like, oh, can you touch me? Can you touch me? And she was going to stick her arm out. I'm like, don't you dare. And it's like, then don't come buzz by me again, And so, yeah, it was fun times.
Brilliant. Oh, we've touched on great memories already.
Yeah.
I love it. Another tangent, another rabbit hole. So Dade's first day at high school, and he bumps into Ramon.
Freak.
Pardon?
Freak.
The Phantom Freak. Ramon the Phantom Freak Sanchez. And Dave's like, well, where do I go? Where's this? And he's like, oh, I'm making a call to Colombia or something. But he's always... Come on.
You got to give him a little bit of seriously, who walks up to somebody who's on the phone and says, excuse me, may I trouble you for a moment? And it's like, I'm on the effing phone, yo. Get off my lawn.
Any phone, a damn pay phone. This charges by the time.
But also,
anyway, he doesn't get charged, obviously.
The best
well,
scene,
no, of course not.
The best,
but this guy, the actor, he plays Sally Can't Dance from Con Air. So he's the guy who, the prison bitch from Con Air on the plane who's dancing to Sweet Home. Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Your friendly local neighborhood bitch, jailbitch.com. So Dade sat down filling out some forms, and then he's introduced to Kate Libby. And she's a bit sassy. She's a bit forthright and a little bit outspoken. A very young Angelina Jolie. Do you know, Angelina Jolie never did it for me, never floated my boat, because every time I looked at her, all I can see is a dad. She's like a
Really?
boyish version of her dad. She's the spitting image of John Voight, obviously.
I don't see it.
Do you not?
No,
I don't.
I didn't know John Voight was her father until years later.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I see it plain as day. Just looking at that. But
Hmm.
while all this is cracking off,
Well, no,
yeah.
if I could just say, I've been wanting to say this joke for a week.
go for it.
So Johnny Lee Miller is in Hackers. Angelina Jolie is in Hackers, but Johnny Lee Miller was in Angelina Jolie
He
because
was.
they were married for 4 years.
They got married because of this movie.
Because of this movie, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So Dade automatically falls in love with Kate. Oh, and I like how we have these little bits that are interjected in these scenes. Like, oh, a bit like that TV show Dream On from back in the day.
Oh,
And he-
dude, nice.
Yeah, that was a great show. We'll talk about that
like
another time, I think. But look at those lips. They're champion lips. You got to admit.
Yeah, it's a great way to show the way that Dade thinks. It kind of falls off. You don't see him thinking in TV clips later, but you know that this is how he perceives the world.
Yeah. But look at him. He's mesmerized. He's got it bad. I don't know about Hackers, but he's hooked. Good job the film's not Hookers. That's a different movie altogether, possibly. Why are these slides going back and forth? So anyway, there's a bit of an exchange, but I want everybody just to take a look at the girl in the vest top in the background, right? Because when Dade starts following Kate around like a little puppy dog, she takes a real shine to him. But when he walks out, she's like, "Hey, all right." And she's like, "Bye." But she's proper checking his arse out as he's walking off. You see her. Look at it. Look at it. Look, she's just looked at his butt, and look at the smile on her face there.
But isn't that a trope of like high school movies of the of any time? It's like new kid comes to town, becomes the object of affection, and he's the bad boy. He's trying to hide his past, but he's trouble.
Yeah, that never worked for me. English schools just aren't like that.
Oh, right.
Although he's kind of not trouble. He's kind of lost. He falls for the prank that there's a pool on the roof. And
Well,
of course,
yeah.
he gets his due. He turns it back on them later, which we'll talk about. But they're trying to make him into this clueless new kid, but then he can just jump right into the school student record.
Yeah, just yeah. Gamer. Any thoughts so far, sir?
In particular, I mean,
No, just
no, we're good.
okay.
Well, okay, you think he's just because he got his parents in trouble when he was a kid, he made them owe 45. That's why he's a bad boy. But I don't know. It just doesn't work that way because I think this movie kind of shows that hackers are not necessarily bad.
Just
Well.
misguided.
Well,
So
I knew some folks that were into this, and I don't know that I'd call them not bad. Let's put it that way.
Well, the thing is that he isn't allowed to do anything until his 18th birthday. His
Right.
18th birthday happens and he starts doing crimes again. We've seen him do the crimes.
True, that's true.
Well, he's already freaked, and he's already hacked a computer system. So
But he just wanted to watch Outer Limits. Guys.
Yeah, true.
What's wrong with
Well,
that?
he's consistent. He's consistent with kids that I grew up with too in high school. Now, this is going back even before his arrest date in 1988 as an 11-year-old. Kids in the early 80s. You're talking about the Commodore 64. They were doing stuff, getting into like weather control systems and stuff. That's why I was wondering when I first saw this film whether you could actually change the cart at a TV station to get the television show you watch. But I was thinking back, I had kids accessing department store, thermostats, and they were showing me how they were doing it. I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I'll be leaving now.
That's just a journey of discovery.
It is
learning a system, and that's all. That pretty much motivates a lot of people in that sphere. They're doing it just to discover something or learn something, or, well, why does that happen? It's just you've got the overly curious kids who've got really good tools to use to explore the world, but electronically. And I think that's great in a way.
Well, until you start exploring the school computer where the grades are housed, then
Everybody's tried it at one point or another.
No, like I say, I know people that have.
Yeah. So this part here, this guy says, "Kate, have you told him about the swimming pool?" And this sets him up because they seem to play a prank on the nerdy kids. So he goes and has a look for the swimming pool. And she's like, yeah, there's a swimming pool. It's up on the top. So he goes and has a look. Yeah, I'll go and check that out. You know, if you go into a lesson, why do you go and check out a pool? So he opens the door and there's a bunch of nerdy kids all there. And the door is a self-locking door. You can't let yourself back in. So they're all like, oh, no. And Dade's like, what? So we have a bit of a dirt moment, and then he realizes, yeah, you've been done. Yeah, you've got me. Nice one. So
did this ever happen to you in England, Trev? Or in Canada?
Not at all. No, not really. Many people was foolish enough to mess with me at school.
So I wonder if it's an American thing, because that was when I went into high school. That was kind of the buzz. Now I already knew from people. It's like, dude, don't bite. There's no pool here. But
yeah,
I wonder if that's more of an American thing than say a Canadian or a British thing.
Yeah,
to go visit the pool on the roof.
No, I think it's definitely an American thing. But the unfortunate thing is here, it's going to start chucking it down, and he comes out eventually and gets back in school, and he's absolutely soaking wet.
Just in terms of the filming location, this is a relatively new school, I think, and they had just transferred over, like the actual population, like the school population had transferred over to this, and there was a pool, but it was in the basement, and their high school publication was called Sixth Floor Pool. And so it was kind of a joke based on that in terms of the plot. So there were sort of self-referential meta references throughout the movie, not just with the nicknames of the hackers and the programs that they used and the computers that they're trying to get into, but also the locations that they were using.
So this scene's good because everybody's having a bit of a chuckle at Dade's expense. And looking at Angelina Jolie there, you can tell she's a bit of ahead of her curve, not only in terms of the character, but, herself.
Her development?
You could tell she's ahead of her age group, if you know what I mean. She looks very worldly wise for somebody of that age. If you were to look at somebody's face, and you could just see it in her.
She's the definition of I thought she was 18.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them girls that was always the one that getting himself in trouble. But yet again, it was another journey of discovery. But that's her story, and she's probably going to stick to it. So Dade, next day at school, he's in computer class. And he's in the school records, and he finds a class that he can get himself into where he'll be close to Kate. Obviously, he's in a different league, so he puts himself through the magic of computers. And there's our there we go, Phantom Freak. I don't know what happened there. I might have just had a TIA. So Freak's like, you're one of us. I could tell. So he changes the records. And at the end of
and if you notice, she's also taking fencing, which barely pays off later, but it does.
Yeah, not something you particularly do in an English school. Probably one of the posh elite schools where all the toffs go. But anyway, Freak catches up with Dade. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're elite. Oh, I could tell, and he's trying to play it down. And then Joey, who's a wannabe hacker, he's desperate to prove his skills. He kind of barges into the conversation, completely unwanted, and he's wanting a handle. He says, "Oh, I'm not a hacker till I've got a handle."
And also you always have to have that one kid who actually looks like a teenager.
Yes,
in a movie about the teenagers.
Yeah, but if you look at Dade's arm there, that's not a teenager's arm because he's quite a chap.
Oh, I'm talking about Joey. Joey actually looks like a kid.
Yeah, I
He's the
know,
only
but I'm
one.
just saying, in contrast to the rest of the cast who were
Yes,
well
agreed.
into their 20s and heading towards 30. So the freak puts him in the know about where to meet up with like-minded kids, which is Cyberdelia, which is a place to go. And on his way there, look who's outside. It's the one and only Shaggy selling tapes of music. But look at Matthew Lillard there. What's your first thoughts, gamer?
He he's there's a few actors in this film that they're very well cast as somebody you would expect and you did mention it, but I'll mention it, where they were consider themselves elite. It's a term that I was familiar with kids that were in this type of hacking genre. And so with the earlier kid, the one that actually looks like a kid, he's not
Joey.
elite yet,
Yeah.
Joey, and he's got to find that cool name. The names he comes up with are kind of funny, but there's Matthew Lillard, the actor that plays Ramon Sanchez, and I'm trying to think of the other. There's the Japanese guys. You'll probably get to it later, and then what is it, Lawrence Mason? No,
Razor and
Paul
Blade.
Cook.
Lord Nikon, yeah.
Yeah, they're perfect as a group of people as hackers. And I only say it because I knew kids like that, and they were a very eclectic group. And that's what I get from everybody that's in this film, including him, that it's like you pick the perfect guy to do it.
Mm.
He is, and I love him later also in SLC Punk, and his style, his wardrobe style is a little bit.
It's different.
I think it leads into it. I think somebody watched Hackers and they were like, "Oh, this is our punk right here."
It's weird. It is in complete contrast to how he is here, and around the same time he did Wing Commander as well.
Yeah,
and he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
totally different in that film. I mean, obviously he's playing a part, but I think he turns his hand well to a lot of roles, and I think he is Shaggy. Forget Casey Kasem. Matthew Lillard now to a whole generation of kids. He will be Shaggy.
For sure.
yeah, and I think he did a good job in that role.
Yeah, me
I
too.
say, notwithstanding Casey Kasem, you needed somebody to replace him, and Lillard did a good job.
Yeah.
Apparently,
So-
he didn't get any notes on how to act in this movie, so everything he performs here, this is entirely of his own invention outside of the script.
Well, he did a good job. If you're
He
left
did.
to self-interpret that genre, but just look at that face.
The
Isn't
glasses,
that
the
face? you could-
braids. Yeah.
he just screams geek just to look at
Yeah.
him. He's a
He's
bully's
so
wet dream.
enthusiastic
Yeah.
to sell you some bootleg music.
Well, tapes were expensive back then. So this is inside Cyberdelia, and there's ramps and kids skating around. This it looks totally unreal. There's nothing. There would have been nothing like this in the 90s here in the UK. But then again,
You
everything
never
over here
rode
is
on
shit.
the spinny. You never rode on that spinny gyroscope thing.
No, there was nothing
They
like
have
that.
one at in Houston, the NASA.
See,
It's
you guys have got it all over there. And in a way, I'm kind of glad this country's dropping to pieces. Gives me a good excuse to send myself. I'm going to FedEx myself over. I'm going to be an illegal alien, eh? So anyway, oh dear, moving
But
swiftly.
this is when I'm rewatching this. I
Hmm.
had recently rewatched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the Foot Clan!
Mm.
This is absolutely the Foot Clan." And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess they're kind of they're stepping outside the law." I expected more drugs. I was like, "There's not." The only person who does anything is Joey, and he smokes, but everyone else is just no one drinks, no one does weed, no one does nothing. And it's like, well, I
Need their
guess you guys are
brains, you know?
hackers.
I don't know.
Yeah,
'cause
but also
a lot of the
nerds,
people
you gotta
man.
that
show
I
that
knew
they're
in those,
bad.
hang on a minute, we're all over talking one another. The people that I knew in those kind of scenes never really did drugs. It was the kind of people who didn't understand the technology, and those that couldn't get into it moved on to other things, and they were the ones that would venture out into that kind of scene. But if you technology and hacking and doing all this cool stuff with technology is your thing. That is your drug of choice.
And the
Well, it's
soda.
just
I mean, I was going to say the soda. You mentioned it earlier, the two different soda brands that would be more consistent with the hacker scene versus say somebody, and people would play, the Dungeons and Dragons and such. That would be, and I want to typecast people, but that would be more of the group of people that would be into drugs, pot or whatever, drinking alcohol. And maybe it's, like I say, it's typecasting, but the people that I knew that were into this scene, again, it's a stereotype, but they were the Jolt drinkers, the Coke and everything else. So I didn't have a problem with this scene in the bar. We didn't have these type of locations for kids where I grew up where they could just hang out, kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they're just kind of at a scene and they'd be drinking soda and stuff, or what they have now with oxygen bars and whatnot. But a place like in Seattle or New York, Chicago, I could see this type of place being, exactly what it is.
Oh,
well, it's definitely still a party club, right? And the choice of drugs is caffeine and video games.
Yeah.
There's a scene later on where Joey has to go to a counseling group because of his computer addiction, and he's going, I'm not addicted. He's smoking a cigarette and drinking coffee like it's going out of fashion. I've got no problem. But anyway, in this scene, you've got the Phantom Freak, and he's placing a long distance call somewhere, and the operator says, can you put this amount of money in? But he's got a cassette there with touch tones on it to let the operator know that he's actually deposited the like 10 quarters or whatever, which a lot of people did back in the day. If you could record the tones, which were supposed to be subaudible, even though they were DTMF, there's a famous story about a guy called John Draper, and he discovered a toy whistle in some cereal, Captain Crunch. And that became his handle, Captain Crunch, and he was the biggest phone freaker in existence. He's still alive, and he does a lot of raving, and he's an old boy now, and he's still going for it. So anyway, I want to get through these because I'm at least 12 minutes behind where I should be. So he plays some tones down the phone line. He's getting free calls, and then Dade spots Kate, and this is quite interesting because she's playing Wipeout, which was released for the PS1 when that came out. But this version they're playing here is totally fictitious. It is not the version at all. But there are lots of little adverts for PlayStation in these scenes where they're playing the game. So Kate's playing Wipeout. She's doing really well. And yeah, look at that. That is nothing like the game. And this game never even came out on arcade, which is quite bizarre, really.
No, that's a great point that you make, because I thought that was Wipeout when I was rewatching it. I'm thinking, no, it couldn't be Wipeout, because just like you said, I had it on the PS4 and the PS3. I'm like, it couldn't have been all the way back in 1995. To your point, it's not. It didn't.
It was one of the launch games on the PS1.
Yeah.
And then you got the follow-up, Wipeout 2097, and that was even better. And in fact, speaking of game musicians. A guy who did a lot of the in-game music, because there were two versions of Wipeout. There was one with like tracks from Future Sound of London and loads of other people, Chemical Brothers, all that kind of thing. And then there was another one where it had got its own in-game soundtrack. And that guy also did the soundtrack for Wipeout 2097, a guy called Tim Wright. And I know him too. I know a lot of these people who used to work in the game scene who did music. He started doing game music for like Amiga games. Lemmings, he did the music for that too.
Wow, I had that game too.
I love Lemmings, especially on the Amiga. What a game. So anyway, Kate does rather well on Wipeout, and she's top of the stack, and she's like, yeah, look at me, I'm pretty cool. And Dade's in awe, basically. I'm making no jokes, but look at that. I chose to take a screenshot of this.
Girl.
Yeah. But if you look at those ships, Gamer, they're definitely Wipeout vessels. And look, there's a big honking advert there for PlayStation.
That was a great pick out there because having watched this, I didn't even realize it until you said it. That the ad placement for PlayStation. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you got the snap there.
Yeah. I
Nice
made a point.
catch.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I love FISA. They're my favorite team, and everybody goes, "No, they're crap. You've got the racist piranha." No, it's the game is what you make of it, not what you can, steal by putting cheat codes in. So Kate sort of like gives him a challenge. You play the game if you think it's so good, and Dave does rather well. I still laugh at these graphics. Nothing like the game at all. But look, there's Kate's current fella, and he's like, "Yeah, you got a problem? Well, you get your ass up here." And Dade carries on playing. Another pick there for PlayStation, if you can see that, gamer.
Yep.
But I'd love to play Wipeout on a screen as big as that, and with joysticks like that too. But that is nothing. If you look at that, that is nothing like the game, is it, gamer?
No, it's not. But
Not
I'm with
nothing
you.
like.
If I get one of those 89-inch screens and play that game now,
Oh,
it'd
do
be
you know
awesome.
do you know what popped up on Facebook Shorts this morning when I was having my coffee before I did the school run? And it was like somebody had connected a PS1 up to an 85-inch TV. And it was just like basically a wall. It was the whole wall was the TV.
Yeah.
And the
Wow.
like the PS1 logo
Yeah.
music. Oh, and then when it's all tinkly and sparkly. And every time I hear that, it raises the hairs on the back of my neck. I don't know if it does the same with you.
Yeah, well, they just had the 30th anniversary, so you could get the old game launch music for your system. So for my PS5, that's actually the music I have load when I boot it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm still playing PS1 and PS2.
There's a lot of good games on those consoles. I mean, if it
I
still
know.
works, I miss them because a lot of those games they've not ported up to the newer systems.
I still love playing Knight Rider, which is weird.
Why is it weird?
Well, yeah, people sneer at me. They're like, "Well, what are you playing this for?" And I'm like, "No, it's still good."
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot of great games on the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. One of my favorites from the PlayStation 2 is SOCOM 2 US Navy SEALs.
Mm.
That's
yeah.
probably one of the greatest first-person shooter games ever. Man, if they could make that game today, that'd be outstanding.
I've just reminded myself of something. I need to send you a picture, Scotty, because I was telling you about that X3 cart I've got, the EverDrive cart for the Sega Genesis,
Oh, nice.
where I've got all the games on one cartridge, which is fantastic. I mean, I've still got loads of Genesis games, but you can't beat cartridge systems, consoles, and
Well,
whatnot.
exactly. And that's the thing is that if anybody were to sneer at me for going back and playing like Red Faction or something, I'd be like, "What? Shut up!" Or if I was going and playing like the original Terminator for the Genesis, like that
is
was
a cracking game.
It's so hard, so hard.
Yeah, better than the RoboCop games.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dade does. Thank you for that. I'm getting messages in my ear roll. Dade does rather well. Beats Kate's high score. Oh, and Kate's not impressed. And he sort of like looks to her and goes, "Yeah." So Freak and Joey are like, "Whoa, it's on," like Donkey Kong.
Well, he says, "Congratulations. No one's ever beat her before. You just made an enemy for life."
So Kate gets her own back in a way. She starts getting it on like Donkey Kong with Loverboy there. In full view of Dade. She has a crafty look to make sure he's watching. And he gets a full view of that, and he's not overly impressed.
No,
And,
nobody's impressed with Curtis except for Kate. He literally does nothing in this movie except get annoyed when she's on the computer.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, just after 4:15 in the morning, I've kind of lost myself. And Dade is hacking into the school. And he's got a plan up his sleeve. So the next day, Dade's there looking at his watch. Freak's like, "What you doing?" and he's conveniently got an umbrella, and then the fire system kicks in, and he gets his own back on everybody. And Kate knows. She knows it's him.
Well,
But
everyone should know. Like, the guy is a heat score if he's the only one with an umbrella in the middle of this sprinkler.
That's the biggest dose of no shit you've ever spouted, Scotty.
True. You're right.
Well impressed. I'm impressed by that. So, look at Kate there. She's wetter
All
than
wet.
an otter's pocket. Yeah.
I know, not just her hair.
Yeah, that's true. Has she had her? No, she hasn't had her wet dream yet.
No,
Right.
that's spoilers, Jill.
Spoilers.
You are
Sorry.
a spoiler.
This
You
movie
will
is 31 years old. If we're worried about spoilers, heavens.
But
Well,
what would you
it's-
do? What would you
it's
do with a very,
foreshadowing.
very wet? What would you do with a very wet
Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Consensually, lots.
Well, I can't do anything. My hands are tied. I'm a married man. I can't say yes or no because if my wife checks the stream, I could be even further in the doghouse than I already am.
Well, let's see. I'm going to find out because I'm a single man. I'm going to find out if Angelina Jolie is currently coupled.
She's still married to Brad Pitt, isn't she?
No,
No.
I thought they divorced, didn't they? No.
I don't know.
Heavens, no.
So anyway, this is apparently inside a Gibson supercomputer.
Lovely reference to William Gibson.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's a good drop reference for Charles Babbage as well at the end of the film, but we'll talk about that later. He's the father of modern computing. He invented the first mechanical computer back in the day. So this is at the Ellison Mineral Corporation, their data center. And look at this. You've got Penn Jillette playing Atari. I don't know if it's Atari Lynx or a Sega. Is that a Sega or a Lynx gamer? What do you think?
I
wanna
think
say
it's a
Lynx.
Sega.
All right.
It's hard to tell though.
Yeah. Sega Game Gear. Or is it the Lynx?
That's it.
I can't quite make out what it is, but I know for a fact that's Penn Jillette.
Yep.
He's
Yes.
great in this movie.
He's got a couple great lines. Absolutely.
Yeah. So up on the screen.
Oh, I have a fun fact about what you just saw there.
Go on, go.
Apparently, when they were filming, they told him to play video games. That we needed to, but they didn't tell him action. And so apparently they got 5 different cuts of him sitting there playing the game because he got so engrossed with whatever the game was that they got the 5 shots they needed, and they're like, okay, we got it. And he's like, wow. So he was actually playing the video game for that scene.
Yeah.
Nice.
If it's Sega Game Gear, which I think it might be actually, he's more than likely playing Sonic.
Ooh.
Sonic's always a good choice.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been Game Gear. Because Atari Lynx came out slightly earlier and didn't do as well. Because it was
Well,
the
again,
back end of Atari.
You got to look at the product placement in this and see what their where their target audience is gonna pick up the slack. Like, what was Wipeout for? Was Wipeout for?
It was on the PlayStation primarily.
Okay, so but it's not a PSP. This is far too early for that.
Definitely, yeah. PSP. You're looking about another 4 or 5 years later. Yeah.
Internet Help Desk in the chat says that's a Game Gear with
Yeah.
assertiveness.
I'm sorry I am dropping the
Nice.
ball with the chat tonight. I do apologize. Oh God. There's always
Yes.
one.
Internet help desk here.
There's always one person in a chat that has to let things down, Flav. Perfect BJ lips, apparently.
Absolutely.
Oh dear. Oh, this is
So-
quite interesting. Franco says, I didn't know John Voight was her dad until now. Really?
Same.
Yeah, man.
But I know very little.
Oh, this is classic. Typical not Brian. She looks like a budget Vulcan.
Oh.
She would
Yeah, but
be a
that's-
great Vulcan, actually.
That's
yeah.
not a bad look.
I
That's not a bad
know.
look.
She looks like a naughty Romulan who needs a spank.
That's better. I like that better.
Yeah? Did you like that picture I sent you on X the other day, by the way, Scotty?
Oh, I'd have to go and double check it. Was there nudity?
No, but there was 2 green girls in Star Trek uniforms.
Oh, I did. I did like that a lot. Thank you very
That was a
much. I
good one.
appreciate that.
I thought of you when I saw it, and I thought, right, I'll just stick a bit of text over that and send it you. Gavin Blackburn
Beautiful.
says Angelina T'Pol. I think
Yeah.
Angelina would have made her better. Oh, this is unfair. Franco says Timu Vulcan.
Well, that is a
Oh,
Romulan. By definition,
she
Romulans are
definitely looks
Timu
more
Vulcans.
Romulan.
She's
But this is a
passionate.
good statement from Flav. She always was a bit freaky, but still hot. Oh, Tom's in the chat. He says, hi, Trevin Gang. I did my homework and watched Hackers on weekend. That's definitely a Yorkshire thing. Tom says, hey, Jill. You're getting a lot of hays and highs in the chat tonight.
Well, yeah, that's because I say hi to people and they say hi back to me. It's really nice.
I try and
It's a
keep
good
up.
system.
Tom says Angelina's 49 now.
And single. So, gamer, are you a married man? Are you coupled?
Yeah, I'm with Trev. I'm off the grid.
So out of all of us, I'm the
Scotty.
one.
Yeah.
I'm the one who gets Angelina, even though she has absolutely no interest in me whatsoever.
There you go. Brian's got the perfect thing to say to that. Zoinks!
There you go.
Yes, I will catch up with you. I'll catch up with you, chat. I'm trying my best tonight, but I've got a lot of slides to get through. So anyway, somebody's having a good old hack at this Gibson computer, and there's something in that garbage file. Oh, it had to be, didn't it? Mr. I've got to prove myself. It's the one and only Joey. What a Joey.
Joey, I'm not angry anymore.
This is good. This is quite interesting. Data centers don't have computer setups like that at all.
No.
So anyway, Penn Jillette as his
Oh,
character.
it's just a little closet. You're right.
Yeah, he's looking totally. So he gets on the phone to his boss. Any ideas who his boss might be? What, dear?
Eugene.
I can't believe it. I'm being beside myself, Johnny Five. I love doing that. I'm sorry. It's probably racist to some people, but it's not. It's just that role in Short Circuit was just it was him.
It was defining.
It
was defining, and also it's sort of a situation where I don't think it's racist. Hank Azaria would disagree with you because he's not allowed to do Apu anymore.
Yeah, it's rubbish. Apu.
I don't think so either because it was done with respect and he went to India himself to do research.
Do you know something? Now Dr. Hibbert's voice is shite. It doesn't.
Kevin Michael Richardson.
It doesn't suit the character at all. Weird.
I don't know. I haven't seen The Simpsons since it started.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time.
It jumped the shark a long time ago.
Yeah.
So Joey's hacking into this Gibson anyway. And look at that amazing graphics. I don't think graphics cards at the time could support that with a whopping 32K of video RAM. But hey ho.
Oh, trippy.
Yeah. So he copies this garbage file anyway. And if you look, is he on an Apple II, isn't he, Joey? I'm sure he is.
Well, the text makes sense. Like the font makes sense for an Apple II.
So anyway, this is Eugene. Is it Belfort? I can't remember. Or
yes, I think so.
I never do remember him, but it's just I'm the Plague. Well, Mr. the Plague,
Mr.
which
the
is one
Plague,
of Angelette's lines on the phone. So he comes in on a skateboard, and he sits down, and he cracks his knuckles, and he starts reverse hacking. But this is so cheesy.
Panel.
It's like the Encom laptop tabletop keyboard in Tron.
Yeah, there's a lot of Tron in this flick.
They all kind of borrow from each other in these eras, these films. But I really liked that Encom table that Dillinger had got in his office. And then when they did Tron Legacy, they got the same type of, like a smaller, albeit a smaller table. They had the same type of thing, the inbuilt screen and keyboard. I just thought that was awesome. That was well sexy. So Joey makes a copy on this yellow disc. Take note of the yellow disc. It becomes very important. And then in a bit of a panic, he decides to hide it in the AC vent, which is where he normally stores his cartons of cigarettes. In the meantime, everybody goes to go and visit Paul, Lord Nikon Cook, named Lord Nikon because of that. I'm doing it again because of his photographic memory.
Yeah.
which is quite bizarre. I wish I'd got a photographic memory.
Me
Oh,
too.
That
I
would be
think one of
so
the
cool.
greatest superpowers that I have is the ability to forget.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget what day of the week it is, whether it's an age thing or what. Oh,
He
honestly,
looks
you
he
get
looks like a druid.
he does, but if you look, he's more in vein of a Jedi
Yeah.
with some of the things he says. But
Oh yeah.
Lord Nikon doesn't particularly like what he sees. He obviously knows these guys, but he doesn't know Dade. And then we've got Richard Gill, who's our man at Flowers by Irene.
Yeah.
You got that one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been the FCC that were out for hackers, or is it purely the domain of the FBI in America?
No, it'd be
Well-
the FBI. FCC deals with broadcast television and radio.
The
Right.
NSA.
Yeah, I was thinking NSA maybe.
I don't know, but Richard Gill, he works for the FBI.
Although later on they do mention the Secret Service, so I don't know if he's got some split role or there's a task force, because I get you. That's a confusing point later in the film.
Well, he's the atypical FBI agent at the
Yeah,
time. He's got
absolutely.
that old
Yeah.
mono earpiece in his ear roll. Can you remember those
This
when
is-
you used to buy them from Radio Shack and they were like 99 cents?
Yes. Made you look important though.
Yeah, impotent. Excuse me? Made you
That's
look
right.
what?
Yes.
You would look impotent having one of those in your ears today. So, Lord Nikon, he makes friends with Dade, and they all sit there waiting to tune in to Razor and Blade, who do a show on cable called Hack the Planet, and a couple of Japanese-style guys, and they do all this tech stuff. A lot of what they say is a bit bullshitty, really, but it's all in good fun, really.
Well, and I liked because this would have been one of those things where stereotypically at the time they would have like really poured on the Japanese accent thick,
Yeah.
and they didn't. It was kind of nice because I was like, oh, this is gonna age badly, and then they started talking, and I was like, oh no, these guys sound like California disc jockeys. This is great.
Valley girls, but boys, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So anyway, they go on about freaking and whatnot, and the guys are just lapping it up. Next day, Joey's in the shower singing rather badly.
Hey, look at that! Who's
he's
on the
got-
right?
He's got
McCoy and Spock.
yeah.
Never saw that
I
before.
never noticed that until now.
Yep.
Until I flicked this slide up, I never even noticed it. Did anybody do that back in the day? Put bags over their headphones and take them in the
No.
shower?
No.
No, I didn't either.
No.
I think that's just
would just take
hyperbole
my-
for the film.
I would take my
Boombox.
boom box into
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
price
turn
of a
that up. Put it
Walkman,
on the sink. Yeah.
even
Well-
though it's like mid-90s at this point, Walkmans were stupidly expensive towards the end of their run because they were really complex and really, far out machines, and they were small. They were basically the same size as a cassette. So there's no way I'd take one of them bloody things in the shower.
But I like how he's got it
No.
like hung up and it's come to, hey, look, it's Mark Anthony. He was in Jennifer Lopez.
Who hasn't
I'm
been?
glad you got the Hack the Planet show because that's great. But then you did skip over everybody geeking out all over all those computer books, which I just wanted to mention were pretty
Yeah,
much
well, I
real
had-
computer books. It's okay though.
Yeah, like the Unix handbooks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They're all geeking out to that in that I forgot Cyber Delia.
Mhm.
But I had to sort of narrow down. I got about 400 shots by the time I'd done, and
Yeah, fair
knowing
enough. Fair enough.
knowing how big these file sizes get, I had to sort of like whittle things down, but keep stuff in context. So Joey gets busted in the shower of all places. It's a good job he wasn't doing anything other than washing his hair. That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, it's just overkill for how many police they think they need to arrest a nerd.
Yeah.
They always do.
But
Come
have
on,
you
it's
noticed-
justification of pension?
There's a slight bit there at the top right-hand side of that towel where his arse cheek should be. He's got some boxer shorts on. You can see he's got boxer shorts on. Oh, dear. They didn't edit
Which is
that out
weird
very
because
well.
when he runs away, you do get to see a little bit of his bum.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not really
Hey,
into
look at that. I never noticed that. His mother's wearing spandex. Nice one.
Not a privilege.
It is indeed. So Joey gets busted. They take all his stuff, but he's obviously more bothered about his computer than anything else, even though they've taken his smokes. Oh, wow. This guy, I didn't really look him up on IMDb or anything.
Jesse
But-
Bradford?
Yeah. What do we know what happened to him, or is he
Oh,
still
well,
going?
he's still prolific. The only thing that I can come up with off the top of my head is that he was in Bring It On with Kirsten Dunst, the cheerleading movie. He plays
my
he plays the
God.
punk rocker. But he went on. He was in many a thing. I can look it up.
Right. Okay. Right. I did not know that. To say I've watched Bring It On a hell of a lot, I don't really watch it for anything apart from Eliza Dushku. Yeah, well. Anyway, this is one of the bigwigs at Ellington Mineral Corporation. And look who it is. It's that woman from The Sopranos.
Sopranos, yeah, Lorraine.
Yeah.
No, see, I have to push back on this. It's the woman from Goodfellas.
It is as well.
Yeah.
This
Lorraine
is
Bracco.
it's a very strange situation. I just found I've never liked Lorraine Bracco, and so I'm glad that she gets her comeuppance in this film. But yeah. Oh, apparently Jesse Bradford was in Magnum PI, the new one, the reboot. But
Literally?
yeah.
Like you said, he
Well,
was
not
in,
not in Magnum PI.
Oh, right. With what you were saying about Mark Antony and
Right.
Jennifer Lopez, I thought.
But you know who Mark Antony is?
No, I don't.
He was a pop star. He was a Hispanic pop star of the early '90s who was transitioning over to acting. He went from musical fame into acting fame.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad Scotty mentioned that because when I rewatched the film, I knew that guy, but I couldn't place it. It was just driving me nuts who he was. So thank you, Scotty.
But yeah, no, Jesse Bradford has been a working actor, and for me to just list off a bunch of shows that you haven't seen, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's still going strong. He hasn't, and there are many actors like that in this. Like even our big G man in the FBI agent, like he's in everything. And I was like, was
Wendell
he in
Pierce?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in so many things. But yeah,
Also,
Jack
as an
Ryan's the
FBI
biggest
agent.
one I can think of.
always as an FBI agent. Yeah.
A lot of jobbing actors, and you usually find that these character actors are the ones that you recognize the most in a lot of films, but they don't always get the praise that they deserve.
That's where I remember Jesse Bradford from. He was in Flags of Our Fathers, the Iwo Jima movie, but the American version directed by Clint Eastwood.
All right. I did not know that either.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Clock Stoppers. Anyway, moving on.
Lorraine Bracco. I don't know. She's an odd duck. She's bizarrely hot, but she's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's like a sort of MILF, but I don't know.
But she was a MILF when she was 25.
Well,
Like she was just a young old woman. She was always mature.
I think she might be experienced. So this is the first look at this. Oh, bloody hell. This virus, the Da Vinci virus. Look at
Now-
those graphics, and that fit perfectly.
What is that?
On
Is that EGA? Or is that VGA?
If you look,
that's not
that's
VGA.
That's not
V- that's-
VGA.
no. So that fit perfectly on a 1.44 floppy. Yeah. Oh, you've got to laugh.
Yes.
You've got to laugh at the irony of the stupidity of the film about hacking that contradicts itself. Because even with the best compression, you wouldn't be able to fit any kind of decent video file back in the day because it would have been real player files. Oh God, you remember those? They were awful.
Oh, or
That's why
QuickTime.
these and that's why they didn't actually use computers to create these graphics. Is they use a different method
Is somebody making
to
popcorn?
capture, I think.
No, not me.
Sounds like
Nope.
somebody's making popcorn somewhere. So here's Eugene anyway.
Sorry.
And it's all right, it's fine. As long as you share, is it salty or is it butter? Or is it
Yes.
salty butter?
It was chips from a bag, and I wasn't eating
Right.
them.
It's all right. We'll let you off. Hey, it's a right, not a privilege. So basically, this stop it. So this virus, this Da Vinci virus, is going to basically take over a load of tankers owned by Ellison Mineral Corporation and sink them all, ruining the company unless they pay 25 million, which is, that's quite a modest sum, even for the 90s, for blackmail, which is basically the secondary plot in this movie is about blackmail.
But
it ties into it because Joey is framed for it.
Yeah, and Eugene, the plague, he drags the rest of the hacker crew into it forcibly by blackmailing Dade, but we'll find out. See, you're doing it again, Jill. You're a spoiler. Stop it.
Well, not really. They're talking about it right now. Their villains are right here.
Yeah, they're
and they're
cooking
like,
up the
look
plan.
what we did. We're nailing those
she isn't she bizarrely hot, lads?
No.
What say you boys?
I'm not a Lorraine Bracco guy in the same. I don't know who her father is, but there's something about her, the way she speaks, the way she is. I've always attempted to see the beauty in Lorraine Bracco. I've always seen her more as being matronly as opposed to being sexy.
Yeah. So anyway, Richard
Michael
Gill.
Walker, good night.
Is it going? Oh, Franco.
See you, Franco.
Take care, matey. That's me not keeping my eye on the ball. Hello to everybody else who's joined us in the chat. I will try and get round to you at some point, but I'm having too much fun banging on about this film, which is considered cheesy by some, but I still think it's a hell of a lot of fun. So Eugene,
it's ahead of its time, actually.
It is. Eugene's visited by Mr. Gill from the FBI, and basically, Eugene wants to implicate the hackers, especially Joey and his friends, and make them all complicit for this blackmailing scheme. And then the next day, Dade is paid a visit by Flowers by Irene. Any more anagrams for the FBI we know? Because that's about the only one I know, to be fair.
Female body inspectors.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that's on a T-shirt. Female booby inspector as well. Sorry, Jill. We're all being very...
that was adorable, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at that. Scotty can get away with murder with you. Oh, typical that. So anyway, Dade is confronted, and Eugene's there with Gil and co, and he's basically saying, "Look, we know it's you," and it's not him at all,
But this is such a fantastic aspect of it. And maybe that's why I brought up the drug inclination at the beginning, is like, this is obviously influenced by Cyberpunk. They reference the Gibson, they reference contemporary hackers or early hackers. But it is a situation where one of the overriding themes of cyberpunk fiction is that the corpos and the government are against you and you're fighting against the system. And I like that they establish this, but make it a teenage kind of adventure. So maybe that's why they took out the drug stuff, so that they could focus on these kids are actually attempting to circumvent an ecological disaster.
That's right, and against the plague, who essentially he's in his 30s, but he's basically Arrested Development. He's still acting like a teenager, but he's corporate, so he's gone to the dark side, and it's just he's like a Bond villain in this thing, and it's really great. And the kids gotta get together to not be. I won't kill the end of the movie for you. So see, I stopped myself there.
Will they win?
Well, they do eventually, yeah. So, moving swiftly on, the game's afoot. I really don't like Richard Gill as a character. Not the actor himself, but you can tell he's a bit of a shit. He's a bit of a douche. He doesn't understand. So that's why Eugene the Plague can sort of bend him. He manipulates Gill. And that's why, he thinks he's so clever how he's going to get away with all of this conspiracy. So later at a party, oh, look, it's your friend Scotty, your tag
It's
team
Mark
friend
Anthony.
from Jennifer Lopez.
Yes.
Have you ever been to a Diddy party? Are we allowed to say that yet on YouTube?
No, we're not allowed to say it.
Oh. Well, he's looking cool. Look, he's a typical narc. Look at him, smoking a cigarette, not at all looking out of place. He looks like a fish out of water. So anyway,
Hello, fellow kids.
yeah. In Kate's bedroom, the lads are checking out a laptop. It's a little farty, crappy-looking thing, which probably wouldn't run Doom. But yeah, they're all drooling over it, and they hear somebody coming, and they flick the lights out. And
Well, there's a good line
around.
here too, Trev.
Go
There's
on,
a good
then.
line. They're talking
Do
about
it.
the high tech with the
Yeah.
28.8 modem.
Yeah.
High tech. Ooh.
Them were
Do you
the
know how
days.
many baud you could get on this?
28.8.
I remember having a 2400 baud modem.
And I bet you any money the internet connection was AOL of one of those free discs.
Oh, hey, I have a sound for that if you want to play it.
No, I'm still
No,
trying to
okay.
forget AOL. No, please.
Badong, badong.
You've got mail. Oh, look, and then Dade sort of twigs when he sees that logo. He's seen it before, and he quickly realizes this is Acid Burns' laptop. And there's a bit of action going off. They're on the computer, and she's on a different kind of laptop. I'm here all week. Well,
Also-
I thought you would have snorted at that one, Scotty.
Well,
And then
no,
she-
I was admiring her poster for Metropolis because chick has taste.
Nice. So Kate realizes she's got a crowd, and instead of getting mad, she gets all excited about her laptop, not the top of the lap she was already. She wasn't particularly playing with the joystick, was she? Things
No.
haven't
Yeah, they
progressed
hadn't
that
gotten
far.
that far.
Yeah,
This is just heavy petting.
yeah. A bit of a snog, a kiss and a cuddle.
He's gonna have
Yeah.
big balls though.
Well, that's why he's like, you're not seriously going to go and freak out about your laptop, are you? And she's like, F off, square.
Yeah, you've done your bit. Now poddle off. Go and play Atari. It's set up in the living room. So yeah, there's a bit of tension going off between Dade and Kate. I mean, Dade, he's just thinks she's drop dead gorgeous. I mean, she is kind of cute, but she looks too young for my liking, if you know what
She's
I mean.
20, which is too young.
She was still older than. What the hell?
Oh, no.
That's not me.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry
not
about
me.
that. I thought I was muted.
Oh,
That's
it's
my
all right.
daughter
It's-
in the background, but I'll
Eh.
give you the quote here. Have you got to that yet? Where she
No,
says
but you
her
can.
major quote of, "I hope you don't screw like you type." And apparently, they changed screw from F from I don't know if you want me to curse here.
Oh, did
no.
they?
Well, we're trying not to, but if it's in context, I don't mind. But anyway, but that is a great line, and I'm glad you said that, Joel, because you kind of beat me to it again. But I don't mind. Oh, look at serial killer there! Don't you just want to slap him? No,
Oh, no.
No, look
Because
at that
again,
outfit.
yeah.
he's a good
And-
laugh.
oh, I saw an interview with him earlier today, and apparently that doll is from his real life, where he used to go to Renaissance fairs as kind of like a jester character, and he would carry that doll around. So he brings stuff into the film, which is really great, and that's why. And you always see him walking around with the toothbrush, and the reason for that is there's a line that was cut from the movie that said something about him having bad parents. So some people suggest that he's probably homeless, but no, it turns out he heard that line that he has bad parents, and so he crashes on people's couches and carries around a toothbrush to be ready
Yeah.
for such.
Yeah, because he
availability.
early on in the film, he asks Lord Nikon if he can crash with him, doesn't he? And he kind of stays with him on a semi-permanent basis all the way through the film because he's never out of his apartment. So anyway, we get back to the plotting. I can't remember a character's name now. I forgot it.
I
That's
believe
a-
her character's name is Lorraine Bracco.
Does she play Lorraine Bracco in this?
No.
Joking.
I can look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So anyway, they're plotting and scheming. The weird thing is, Fisher Stevens there looks like my uncle, how he was in the
Margot.
70s.
Her name's
Margot,
Margot.
that's it. Yeah. There you go.
Oh,
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, gamer.
Cheers.
So the game is afoot, and there's a plot to be had, and basically the Plague, aka Eugene, who still doesn't live in his mum's basement, is going to frame Dade's mother and put her on the FBI's most wanted, which is a bit of a dick move, really. So anyway, Dade's. Oh, look at that! Is that a zip drive? Looks like it. No, it's not.
does.
It's.
Is it just an external?
It's an external
Floppy?
floppy. Yeah. Oh, zip drives. I used to love those. Jazz drives. Remember jazz drives? They were a failure. So anyway, Kate and Dade, they've got this simmering tension, and he's having a good play with her hardware.
Yeah, he is.
I would say I'm here all week. Crikey.
You've done that.
I know. I'm a pun a minute, aren't I?
No, you're great.
Terrible.
Yeah, they tease each other. They tease each other and
So-
get into a competition.
There's
And
a
except for
competition
Joey,
here.
we have the entire team.
We do. And Joey's
been-
superfluous, really.
Joey's been grounded by his mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's had to go to that self-help group where he hasn't got a problem with smoking or drinking vast amounts of coffee. Anyway, there's a game here now, a bit of a hacking game, where if Dade wins, Kate will wear a dress. But if Kate wins, Dade has to wear the dress. And I think, in a way, Dade was hoping he was going to lose, because he seemed quite excited by it all. So anyway, they start doing a hacking duel to harass the Secret Service agent, Richard Gill, who was involved in Joey's arrest. And after various hacks, cancelling his credit cards and creating a personal ad in his name, because his office number starts getting a load of calls like, dealer, what colour underwear have you got on? And all kinds of freaky things. So all the weirdos and detritus of New York start basically calling him up. And he has a fair few good phone conversations. They even put him down as deceased at one point, and he gets a fake DUI, doesn't he? He gets arrested for DUI.
And then
So
his
anyway-
credit card doesn't work, but that's
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, so the hacking continues. But just look at serial killer there. The look on his face. Do you know who he reminds me of in that pose?
Who?
What's his name? Oh, I forgot his first name. Holt, the guy who played Beast in the last
Nicholas
batch.
Holt?
Nicholas Holt. He looks a bit like Nicholas Holt.
Okay.
A little bit facially there, just in that pose.
I just can't take him seriously because he looks like the son of John Voight.
Okie dokie. Moving swiftly on. The game continues. So, of course, they hack him. He goes out for a fancy meal with his wife. His card won't work. The guy cuts his card up. I've never actually seen that happen in real life. You remember back in the day
Oh,
where
dude.
people used to get the cards cut up in front of them?
Yeah.
What?
I've done it.
Really? That's happened
Oh,
to
yeah.
you?
No. I've been the person to cut up the card.
Really?
Yeah. It's just like, no, this is, and you have to call in and you have to double check with it. And it's like, no, it says your card's been stolen. And then the person is like, impossible, try it again. And it's like, well, okay. And so you have to hang up the phone and you have to call back because customer service. Like I'm at a bar at a restaurant and I'm trying to do my best. And then you're just like, no, they said I am supposed to. They told me, because technically it's not your property. It's the property of the credit card company.
Property of the bank.
So,
Yeah.
so I gotta cut up your card. And these people, they walk away happy every time.
Really?
No, not really.
I was being sarcastic, you fool.
As was I. I'm glad we met halfway.
Yeah, never the twain shall meet. But look at those graphics. Oh, on that monitor. Whoa, gorgeous.
Yeah.
And does that look, is that an Apple OS? Looks like it, doesn't it?
I don't know, man. Like that
Yeah,
doesn't
it
look
looks
like
Apple.
it's not of its time.
It almost
That's-
looks like Amiga OS, to be fair.
Well, Amiga did have better graphics.
True. Oh, look, here's one of those adverts for Richard Gill.
Yeah.
All fantasies catered for. I can bring out the lady in you. And there he is. He's getting some phone calls, and he's starting to look a bit browbeaten at this point. But the
Do I
hacking
sound dead to
continues.
you?
Oh, look, there he is.
Here's the
He's-
DUI.
Yeah, he's getting the DUI now. Oh, look, and then I don't know whether he's getting arrested or whether it's one of those people who's been ringing him up for fun adult times.
Why not both?
Come on, boy. I know his John Voight was in The Deliverance, but wow, I didn't think they carried it over into this film. Moving swiftly on. So, yeah, more hacking fun ensues. Yeah, this Richard Gill, he deserves everything he gets. Still more calls. And then Kate has a bit of a torrid dream. But I like the fact is when she sort of like twigs and like, oh, I've just had a mucky dream. The look on her face is like, yeah, I'm digging it. She enjoyed that. That must have been a fun scene. But
Yeah, so now at this point, it doesn't matter who wins the contest; they both win.
Yeah, it's all good fun. So anyway, Dade gets a visit from UPS, signs for a package which he wasn't expecting, and he gets a nice fancy little tap top. But it's got an ulterior motive. Oh no, it's the plague. Oh, Dade, you better do as you're told. More blackmail ensues. Oh, look at that. Yeah, look at those graphics.
Well, and I do appreciate that it does look somewhat plausible for 1994, but it also is, telegraphing stuff that would happen in the future. It is video conferencing when video conferencing was not a thing, not at this level. But I did like the aspirational technology of the situation. Like that's one of the things that this and I hope other people think that I'm not being naive, but like this is putting the science into the science fiction. It's like we eventually got pretty much everything that was described here.
Well, look how
near
phones
future.
started looking like communicators from Star Trek when everybody had flipped clamshells. Do you remember those times?
Oh, yeah.
And look how phones have progressed. Jill, you were saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just agreeing with Scotty. The near futurism of this works really well. And I saw it at a time where everything had already come true that hackers predicted.
That's got to be real player. Oh, no, it wasn't on Apple, was it? Oh.
QuickTime?
QuickTime, yeah.
QuickTime, yeah.
That'd be a QuickTime MOV file back in the day.
Oh,
and it's still around as a file format. So Joey meets up with the freak. And he says, oh, I've got a copy of this disc. And, oh, look, there's a couple of narcs there, man. I've never met anybody who said narc in real life. He doesn't look very Hispanic, this Mark Antony fellow.
The guy on the left, the guy on the right, the Agent Bob. I just want to give a big shout out to one of my favorite television shows of all time. He played Bert in Mad Men, and he gets fired twice, and I love it both times. He is prolific. I thought he was the dad in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Danny's dad who goes to work for the Foot Clan. I thought that was Danny's dad. Not. So great story, Scott. But yeah, no, he's a great actor who's been in a bunch of stuff.
I was gonna say, doesn't he play a cop in one of the television series? Like
in all of the television
Law and Order and all of them? Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you scroll through his IMDb, amazing, like just working actor. Always bald though. He's been bald since the day is long.
We had a double skip there. So anyway, Freak gets away with the disc, uses a bit of gum, and sticks it on the back of a condom machine of all places.
Yeah,
that just looks well sketchy. Why is he in the school at that time? Well, it wasn't. It was daytime, wasn't it? Yeah. It just looks
he's
dark.
a student, and he needs to stash something where he knows that it's public enough that it can be found.
Well, the school was awfully close because they were just in the park,
right?
The cops were chasing him, so he outran them back to school, and like nobody knew he went there. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
and they also say and part of the reason why he goes there is because he calls up Kate and says, I stashed the thing where I stashed that other thing from the time before. And it's like, okay, I know where it is. And so it is specific. Again, social engineering. If I put the thing where I had the thing before, you can find the thing where
Yeah, it's
anyway.
kind of like a kind of a password, but
Yeah.
just if you know me, you know where I put things when I want to hide a thing.
Good to see you, DJ Knight.
Yeah, I am just so dropping the ball with the chat. Let me just have a quick catch up with the chat before we carry on. Tom's gone. Franco's gone. Oh dear. Who else have we got in there? Flav says, dial up assured dropout after 2 hours. Yeah. We had a lot of that back in the day, didn't we?
Yeah. Couldn't get any pictures of Captain Janeway.
I was always after Balana.
Yeah, dude, you're on my team. I was just making the most obvious reference, but Balana Torres was my jam.
I was definitely on Team Balana. I think I might have for some reason all these files that I put on, they're all coming around again. Isn't there a song about that? Coming around again. Oh dear. Let's see if this works. Do you know, I'm not really impressed with Restream. You could tell everybody else is on what is it, StreamYard.
I don't know. I'm okay with the interface. I don't know how it works on your end because I'm not a manager.
It was a bit sluggish on Friday, and it's been sluggish again tonight. So Freak has a dream about being busted, and bizarrely enough, it comes true. Hey, there's your man again.
Yeah,
there he is. Lex Luthor.
Great character actors. Thing is, though, his mum, she thrashes him more than what the FBI do, and he's more scared about what his mum says. She goes into full like Hispanic mother mode and starts screaming and shouting at him in Spanish. And
he's like, arrest me already.
Yeah, take me away. He was glad to go. But the one thing you don't do, even if it's your one free call in jail, you don't pass a phone to a freaker. Because even though that phone gets locked up, obviously he knows what to do with the phone, and he does the old trick about hanging up, but catching it on the hook just at the right time. And
Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
I did that.
Clicking it down to dial the number.
Yep.
Yeah, it does work. So then this is the point where he...
I got bet once that I couldn't do it, so I picked up the phone. I'm like, who do you want me to dial? It's like, call your mom. So I ran through all 7 digits, and then my mom answered the phone, and I was freaking everybody out. And I wasn't a hacker, but I'm like, no, I can pull this off.
Good man.
Yeah.
See, you've done a bit of dabbling yourself. And look how contemporary Kate is. She's got a cell phone in 1995. So she must be good. Nothing to do with the mother being a rich and famous author in this particular timeline. So she goes into the boys' toilets. And not only does she nick that disc back with that wonderful video on it, even though it's a 1.44 double density disc, she buys a condom as well.
I know.
Of all the things you buy from a condom machine, she bought a condom, and she made all the boys blush. But just look at that face. She knows what to do with it more than the boys do.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is that again going back to the social engineering? It's a matter of what makes people uncomfortable. That will make me get out of here quicker. And so if she's confident, one of the things that I've found in my many, many occupations is if you show up with like a trolley and a vest and a clipboard, you can do anything you want. If you're a girl in a men's room who has the confidence to go and check out the condom machine, well, first things first, you got to buy a condom, but make sure that the thing that you want is behind it. Like all of this is so great in terms of the manipulation. It's pretty cool. Like everyone is rad, even if they are freaks, not PH, but F.
Yeah.
And all the boys in that bathroom are scared of her too.
Flab makes a comment about the phone scene with Freak. It does. Every kid with a rotary phone knew that. My parents nearly killed me because I rang up a huge phone bill calling people when they left me home alone. We've all done it. He had
Yeah.
to have the skills, though. If you were elite, you could hack into the phone company and get your bill expunged. Like that ever happens. So anyway, serial killer and acid burn visit Dade, and Dade basically fills them in to what's happening. He gets a copy of the disc, obviously, and that's his leverage, he thinks, to getting his mum's name cleared. So he rings up Mr. The Plague to arrange a meet-up so he can give him the disc and get his mum off the hook. Oh, look at that. And he comes out of his room all concerned, and she's fallen asleep on the sofa. And he covers her up ever so gently. And then he goes off to meet the plague. So he finds a place, middle of nowhere. And this makes me laugh. He comes zooming in, holding onto his limo whilst riding a skateboard. Just look at that. Dade's face just says it all there. And Eugene comes in. If you notice, he nearly arse ends it once during that scene. You could tell there's like a couple of really good edits to make it look like he wasn't going to end up on his ass.
I give him credit for being on the skateboard for the scene.
Yeah. There's one of the jump cuts. I think they sort of stop and made it look like he were going and moved him. I think they did a bit of stop-go animation with him. You could tell they've done that because he'd probably, I bet there's some great outtakes. So he gets the disc and he's off into the night. Typical New York, steam coming up from the vents in the streets. Having never been to New York, I wouldn't know that. So he meets back up with the, dare I say, Scooby Gang? Would that be too obvious?
That's the Scooby Gang.
It is for all intents and purposes. So they've looked at what this worm does, and Dade figures it all out. And it's all about stealing little bits of money from all these transactions. It's basically a scam to cover up a scam, wrapped up in blackmail. That's a scam, and he stands to Eugene hopefully getting another 25 million on top of this other scam, what this Da Vinci worm's doing. So
he's stolen about 21 million so far, and this will later be, I think this might have been the inspiration for Office Space later.
You never know.
I was going to say, yeah, it totally screams Office Space.
Yeah. But there's a great scene where they go dumpster diving for information. Kate has a bit of a moment with Dade, and Dade gets really uncomfortable. And then I love this bit. Can anybody see the wire?
No.
Oh yeah, I can see it. And you know what? This is actually based on because they had real hacker consultants for this thing, and this is something one of them actually did was actually throw a flare gun at a security guard while dumpster diving for information.
Yeah, it's been done. Everybody's done it at some point. But I just love this bit. The security guard comes out. Kate fires a flare gun because she says, what is it, something like subway safety protection system or something she calls it. She's got a little cute name for it. But I just love that, the fact that you can see the wire. Look, and it's still going down the back of a coat. Can you see it? That just highlights it all the more. You got to love special effects. And Dade, he's just totally wet through with her. He's like, whoa, I'm going to marry this lady. He's going to marry her one day. Good luck to you, Dade. Wouldn't it be good if they actually did like a sequel in present day and it's about their kid? That'd be really cool.
Maybe.
So anyway, Lord Nikon and serial killer go and help themselves to a few items out the back of an AT&T truck. And they also steal a little phone book with all like bits and bobs, like a hacking book, like the Big Red Unix book in the earlier scenes, which you mentioned, Jill. I would have included that if I'd got more time. We're already
the big ugly book that doesn't fit on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
So serial killer goes to the office of Richard Gill. And he comes out from under the table. He didn't even know he was under there, and why she was up to the desk as well is crazy.
Why that tool belt is just dangling right over his crotch like that?
I think he's just showing her how impressive his tools are. And look at that.
Precisely.
When he's walking away, his ass crack's hanging out like a typical blue collar worker. And he goes wandering off. But under the table, oh, look, he's left a snooping device. Oh, that looks so cool. I bet that doesn't do exactly what it says on the tin either. You got to love special effects. So anyway, Lord Nikon does his trick with his photographic memory, and he goes into an office carrying is it a bouquet of flowers or a basket of something? And he's in there, and he's just basically looking at everybody's login and password details. Oh, that is just great. Looks devious one way, looks devious the other way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's carrying a bouquet, isn't he? Yeah. And he's just going around the office of this Ellison Minerals.
Well, and doesn't even the plague walk past him and sort of eye him?
Skateboards past him.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Good answer.
So there's Plague. He's all cocky and confident, and he's scheming with Margot as usual, thinking he's going to get away with it. And then we get more of an idea of what this Da Vinci worm's going to do, try and sink these boats. And that kind of reminds me of Superman 3 for some reason.
Oh, it does. No, but that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, because I was thinking of Office Space, where they talk about, have you ever seen Superman 3? But they do that in this. The worm is eating up all the pennies that don't go anywhere until. And yeah, no, it's totally Superman 3. But yes, and the ecological disaster is what makes our heroes the heroes and the villains, is because Eugene is more than willing to topple 6 oil tankers.
Yeah. So so if you put it in the context of Superman 3, Eugene is essentially Ross the boss, played by Robert Vaughn, no less. Yeah, he looks a slimy git. And there he is. He's basically stuffing Richard Gill up with a ton of bullshit, further implicating the guys. And he's like, "Well, you got to go and bust these guys, but they've got it all on tape. Is it live or is it Memorex?" And this is impressive. They've got a big, massive TIAC 1/4-inch tape machine. That's impressive. Owning one of those back then, that is impressive.
Yeah, it is. We had those in the radio studios back then. Yeah, it's not cheap.
Very
Right.
expensive.
And Cyril says, "Snoop on to them," and Nikon responds as they snoop on to us.
Oh, I'm glad you've got you are Lady Nikon for all intents and purposes in this respect.
Ooh, I wish I were. I have notes.
Yes, I've got
Very
notes,
much.
but I'm just so carried away with this movie because I love it. I'm probably a little bit more excited than I should be. So the Scooby Gang meets up and come up with another plan to try and foil the plague and Richard Gill. So now they need the help of Razor and Blade. And yeah, Dade's face when he sees that gun on that arm, he craps his pants. It's kind of funny, really. So yeah, they kind of say, "Look, we need to do this, and we need you guys to pull off the ultimate hack." And they're quite intrigued, and they finally bite and agree to help. So yeah, they come up with this idea of how they're going to double cross Eugene and basically get one up on the FBI or secret. We'll call them Secret Service, shall we? So he's now using crash override. Go on.
The most important thing they say is that you need more than just us. You're gonna need an army.
And there's a good scene, a few slides coming up soon about that. So Dade started this sequence to start a bit of chaos and mayhem. Dare I use that word on this channel? Yeah, I dare.
I think you should.
Yeah, definitely. I managed to get it in there. Greetings to Melvin Deeply and DJ Knight in the chat as well. Thank you for pointing that out, Gamer. I wouldn't have noticed. But I like this. Pager. Who rocked a pager back in the day?
I did.
I wasn't important enough. So
I wasn't important enough either, but I still somehow had one.
So this is great.
I was late. I was late to any sort of technology. I was like, I'm not important enough for a pager. I'm not important enough for a cell phone. And then everybody else started getting a cell phone. And I was like, I want to be important.
You used to look at people with pagers and just think pretentious twat.
I used to think drug dealer.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
For a while, it was just drug dealers and doctors who had a baby.
The thing about pages, though, with them being just receiving devices, they couldn't be traced. They were ideal.
Oh yeah.
But I like that. Grand Central, hack the planet. So that's like the go word for putting all this into play. And Crash Override lives up to his name by having a program that basically crashes cars in real world. And he alters all the traffic lights and causes chaos. So the Secret Service can't follow the Scooby Gang as they poddle off on their rollerblades, as you did back in the day, and they head to Grand Central Station. And then they set themselves up in phone booths to start hacking. But there's a bit of a double cross coming up soon.
And then they spin them around and around.
Yeah, that was very Oliver Stone-esque. Oliver Stone did that same movie filming technique in a couple of his films.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good technique for this film. It works.
And I like this when they log in or jack into the system. You get to see this myriad network of computer chips and whatnot. It's very Wreck-It
Motherboards.
Ralph. Yeah, and servers don't look like this.
It'd be
This
cool
is
if they
just-
did.
No,
It would be, but this is just
it would
sheer,
be.
sheer hyperbole.
Yep.
This makes Tron look like Tron, if Tron could look like Tron.
Yeah.
And I like this launching Cookie Monster. And there's a great line when it is like, oh, the virus, and then oh, there's a rabbit. What? And Margot gets totally lost in this. And I love the Cookie Monster anyway, but I want a cookie. Give me a cookie now.
Well, it's apparently a real virus that was available.
Yeah.
But it would only, if you typed in cookie, it would give you time. If you typed in Oreo, it would give you more time. But then it would reintegrate.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't
and the
remember
Da
that.
Vinci virus is also based on a real virus too. The Leonardo,
The Michelangelo.
I forget what it was.
Michelangelo, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got all these cool little launchers about launching viruses. Yet again, that looks Apple to me. Anybody
I
use
don't
an
know.
Apple?
Is
I
that
never
Apple?
owned an Apple. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had an Apple until much, much later. I didn't have an Apple until like 2003. But this,
Yeah.
I don't know. Based on the top. Yeah, based on the top bar where it says virus launch panel. Yeah, that looks Apple.
So this Gibson's starting to have a bit of a meltdown. And yeah, again, servers just don't look like this. But you've got to laugh at the hyperbole of it all. I think that adds to the charm of the film. So the hackers are hacking away, as you do, and they're setting up. They're trying to basically overload this server so it crashes, so this virus can't be launched, and that would thwart Plague's plan and Margot's plan to basically extort money out of the system. Gotta love those graphics. Oh, brilliant graphics for 1995. So yeah, we're reminded about what's at stake here. A bunch of tankers being sunk in the ocean, not only creating an ecological disaster, but ruining Ellison Mineral Corporation. But you've got to love the plot.
But also, like, it isn't a bad plan. It's like we already have our scapegoats.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this, and the money will transfer as long as everything goes according to plan. Until
I would have gotten away with it too.
Yes.
Brilliant. That's great timing. So Plague starts reverse hacking and trying to out-hack the hackers, and they get a location that they're in Grand Central Station. So Richard Gill and his team all head there. I like this, very DS9-esque, where Dade's got that over-the-eye visual piece.
Oh, right.
Anybody think it was in the Jemadar? But never mind.
No. It's a good call. It's a good call.
Yes, you're right.
How many nerds in the chat would get that one?
All of them.
Yeah. So Eugene's starting to lose his shit just a tiny bit because he knows what's at play. Good night, Brian. Brian's leaving the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight, Brian. Take care, matey.
Cheers, not Brian.
And who knows? This is a daft question. I mean, I'm a big music fan, so I know this guy is straight away. Anybody want to take a guess at who this guy is without looking it up? If you know,
I looked it up, but I feel like you know it better than I, so I will not
Yeah, I
steal
don't know who
thine
this is.
thunder.
it's Dave Stewart, one half of the Eurythmics,
Oh wow.
and his line is delivered really badly. Yeah, we're on it, guys. He sounds like, oh, but look at that. Doesn't he look like a toilet perv? I'll beat
It was like
in
you
the
guys couldn't
toilet.
afford Paul Williams? What's
No,
going on?
I'll beat you in the toilets at 11:30. Can I smell your bum? Yeah, Tom says Dave Stewart. Yes, it is. Which I thought was kind of good. And all the hackers are grouping together. So you've got Dave Stewart's character in London. You've got these guys, presumably in Tokyo. Oh, dodgy Russian guys. You've got it. I mean, the look on his face there. He looks a sketchy mofo, doesn't he? You just look at him there. He's like, yes, I steal all your bank details.
Nice.
Who is this
Nice.
bastard John Rambo who tried to kill me? Sorry, I'm getting a vision of flashback of Rambo 3 now. That's about as best as my Russian accent can get. And Mark de Jong, who was the Russian general in Rambo 3, was actually French, bizarrely enough. I don't know who these guys were, but they look particularly dodgy, but cool. They're obviously not Russian. Kind of look
I thought that they were like
Transylvanian.
South American.
Maybe so. Or Italian, possibly.
Could be.
Eurotrash. Oh, look, there's Penn Jillette again. Yeah, again, Lorraine Bracco. She looks kind of hot, but not again. She has these moments where you like think, yeah, I'd ask her out on a date. Then you'd like slap yourself and realize and say, no, I wouldn't. But
I
this
would
is
not return for my second psychiatry session.
good. I like what you did there. Very clever.
Going
but yeah,
after the colonel.
yeah. The Colonel, she thinks they're on
Saunders?
about Colonel Sanders. Yeah. What's the matter, Sanders? Chicken? I love that line from
Ooh.
Baseballs.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
good.
but this Gibson server's getting overloaded now, and this particular garbage area, these 4 files, that's where the Da Vinci virus is. But Eugene's looking a bit pissed now. He knows he's losing. Maybe he's going to get some comeuppance. We'll have to wait and see. So anyway, the Secret Service go running like crazy to try and bust the hackers. And there's Joey with a cigarette butt hanging out of his mouth. He hasn't
I
got a problem
love
at all.
that. I love that detail that he's had the cigarette hanging out of his mouth through all of this crazy cinematographic hacking systems and situations. And then when we do get back to him, it's like, you're the only one who can help us, Joey. You can do it, Joey. And he's got, like, obviously there's ash down the front of his shirt. It's on the keyboard. And he's just like, tappa, 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 tappa.
But in a way, it's a trial by fire. He's earning his spurs, but he's put on the spot to do it and learn
Yeah.
on the fly, and become actually a part of the hackers. So Richard Gill turns up with his posse, and oh, look at that! They've done the old trick there of doubling the phones, so they're actually in a different location. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do from a freaking aspect. You double up your phones and you're actually in a different location. Oh, what's this? Yes, the film has got a great soundtrack, Tommy. It really is a good soundtrack, to be fair. So Joey goes to do his thing. He's copying this file, and he's the only person who can get it out of the system and get it as evidence. And he manages to get it in time. On that same disc as well.
I don't know if it's the same disc, but I do appreciate the fact that they kept it on the same color.
Yeah. So basically, Kate tells Razor and Blade, we've done it. We've got it sussed now. And they have the last bit to shut down the Gibson server. Nice bit of code there, what makes absolutely 0 sense. And I like how they use the word NetBIOS there, but don't actually use it in any real context. I think people just got a load of words. Oh, but
Yes.
look at Penn Jillette there. He's like, this is screwed.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a crowd there, and Plague knows he's probably screwed as well. And then, look, we come up with the crash override message: mess with the best, die like the rest. A hacker's got to have a motto, I suppose. And yet the server, that's basically had enough now. It's gone full Radio Shack Robbie. It's about to go tilt like a pinball machine getting screwed. And they've done the job. Dade's there getting a bit of a cheeky hug. And everybody's sort of trust your techno lust. But then just as they finally get to celebrate a victory, they do get busted. And I think that was semi-intentional in a way. Oh, look at that. They mean business there. The feds. Having never had any real cause to be investigated by the feds, I don't know what it's like. But Dave's a smart chap. He's got this disc. And quickly chucks it in the trash. And
How did they put the cuffs on him and not see the disc?
Yeah.
It was in his pocket.
It was in his back pocket. Yeah.
They wouldn't search him before they took him away?
They didn't frisk him. No.
Yeah.
Which is unusual. So serial killer's outside. He's managed to sneak out. And
it's a
look
good
like
point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fair. He looks like a regular New Yorker. And he's basically, they've trashed our rights. They've trashed our freedom, or dropping the word trash. How many times did they get the word trash in that sentence? At least 7 or 8.
Yeah, it was like that.
So serial killer, he's a smart lad. He goes looking through the trash and he finds the disc. And, typical out of the garbage fashion, it's got a huge blob of gum glued to it, which I thought was just a nice touch. And then he pulls it off, and the look on his face just says it all, really, doesn't it? Oh, that is a fantastic look on his face. Like the look of sheer disgust, and some of the things he's done during the movie. But Richard Gill's quite happy with himself. Oh yeah, Eugene, we've got these hackers. Oh yeah, you should be okay now. And he's feeling pretty good about himself. And I'm, hoping these slides load.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. And then so Eugene and Margot, I'm sorry, Mr. Plague and Margot.
They're having a bit of a celebration.
Get it on.
Yeah. He does look a bit chuffed with himself. So anyway, the feds have got acid burn, and it's all right.
Crash override.
It's all right. People are trying to get my attention, and I'm not really in a position. So no, go away. People at my door. So anyway, yeah, we're in the thick of it now. Please load slides, I'm begging you. So Richard Gill's getting interviewed.
You know who that guy is?
No.
That is Frost from Aliens.
What, Rico Ross?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Is he in the IMDb credits?
According to IMDb, that is my assertion.
Wow. I'm impressed. And I notice how Joey and Lord Nikon are just walking around quite freely in the Fed's HQ. But, oh, no, lo and behold, we've got one hack left.
Look, it's Bjork.
Razor and Blade and the hackers around the world have hijacked a load of satellites and TV networks. And Serial Killer does his own little broadcast, a bit like that famous Max Headroom hack in Chicago in the 90s. If anybody knows about the Max Headroom hack, we can be friends. Oh, man. So anyway, Serial Killer, he starts revealing the double cross and the dirty double dealings of Margot. And I want to call him Melvin, but that's not him. It's Eugene, isn't it?
Eugene. Yeah.
He looks a little bit wide there, Matthew Lillard. His pupils aren't suggesting he's on anything. He must just be naturally excited. So
I'm telling you, backstage drugs.
Yeah.
Or just more of that soda.
More of the Jolt Cola, maybe some Mountain Dew on the mind.
Possibly some powdering of noses. Maybe it's the dust off donuts on his nose.
Could be.
Who knows? Did he have a powdered sugar donut? Maybe.
I don't know. He's
Could've-
brushing his teeth a lot, so maybe he was just
Hmm.
a proactive meth head.
Or is he just rubbing his gums with something?
Could be.
Anyway, Razor and Blade carry on doing the good fight and doing the hack. And basically, serial killers on everything, everywhere, on every TV in New York and around the planet. And he goes on to explain the finer details of the hack and who's really behind it. And he does the Scooby-Doo bit. Oh, look, somebody's got the kit off and looking rather shocked at the information that's being relayed by a serial killer. And he even gives out a little account number in the Cayman Islands. Look at that face. Oh, dear.
Very proud of himself.
Oh, yeah, he's looking quite chipper, isn't he? And he's loving explaining this. He's just made for TV, this guy.
I don't know. He might have been a good Joker back in the day.
Yeah, possibly. I think he's too fun to be the Joker. Well, anyway, Eugene's rapidly disappeared. How he managed to get away without her noticing? She must have been in some
He came
severe
and went
shock.
so quickly.
Oh yeah, he's in and out of there. He must be like a woodpecker.
Yes.
So anyway, Dade's mother turns up. She's in the clear now, and she's definitely cleared, and they're all cleared too, thanks to serial killer and the rest of the hackers. Well, anyway, Margot gets nabbed by the police. She's sort of like looking incognito there, but she's not got away with it. Bless her. Nice try. And then
I know where his mother is.
yeah, I know where his mother lives. And then on a flight to Japan, there's a Mr. Babbage, where he's taken his name from Charles Babbage, the inventor of the computer, albeit a mechanical one. And he's there in first class, looking like a mad professor of sorts. And and can we get you anything, Mr. Babbage? Yes, a nice comfy cushion. And look, those hands look familiar, and they look like a pair of cuffs. Richard Gill and his band of Secret Service types have finally caught up with Eugene.
I have another question about this scene.
Go on, let me go back a scene. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Why did they let the plane take off?
Maybe they want a free jolly to Japan.
Well, maybe.
Maybe they want to experience first class. The thing is, it looks like a private jet, not like a regular airline aeroplane, does it?
Yeah, it does look like a private jet. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dade gets his date with Kate, and she's in a dress. He's got one on too, if I remember right. It certainly looks that way, doesn't it? And they end up going for a swim fully clothed. That's one way
They
to get
found the
Angelina
pool.
Jolie very moist, isn't it, Scotty? Would you like to have a bit of a dip with Angelina?
Yeah.
She's wet.
She's very wet. She's wetter than an otter's pocket.
Well, I've never been to SeaWorld, but like this is amazing, and this is just sort of the romantic denouement where we finally get to see our two heroes, former rivals, sort of reconcile in. And this is the first time I watched this movie that I actually, because usually by this point I've been watching it with a lady and I've given up on the plot and I'm making out on the couch and whatever. Like I watched this on VHS.
Were you VHS
mostly.
and chilling?
I was VHS. No, I was VHS and fucking. Thank you. And
Hey!
come on, you said no words were offline except for the C word. And so
That's
then, but this is the
Fridays.
thing, is that when, okay, well, sorry,
Monday,
happy.
That's
Friday.
fine.
It's a
I
manic
don't
Monday.
mind.
It's a manic Monday.
It's Monday
And
Night
the thing
Mayhem.
is that the final, this is sort of a cool, like almost punk reconciliation. I love the hacking that takes place to sort of highlight the buildings, because I'm like, yeah, they're in love for at least 4 years.
Yeah. So, like you say, another hack's performed. And like you said, somebody's taking control of the lighting in these buildings. And, you've got your flashing crash and burn. And then Dade finally gets what he's been after all the way through the film. And I could have gone with a few more shots of this scene. But they do look like they're quite into what they're doing here. You know, you
Yeah.
could
It's
tell there
yeah,
was
it's
that romance was developing off camera during this
Chemistry.
film. Oh yes, they got that chemistry going on, and well, the way she was kissing him, she was overselling it from an acting perspective because she was meaning it. It was genuine what she was doing here. Johnny Lee
Yeah,
Miller, you're one lucky bastard.
because they got married a year later.
They did indeed. It was a very short-lived marriage, but most of Angelina Jolie's marriages have all been fairly short, haven't they? Really.
well,
But
it played great with the movie, and I love the fact that it's a pool on top of the roof, so it's a great callback to the prank.
that was the school pool. They finally did get. There was no pool.
No pool.
But they did get to swim on a pool on the top of a skyscraper somewhere. And hey, I've just noticed your Avi. It's quite cool, that gamer.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
Dr. Wick. Or
Dr.
Wick
Wick, yes.
who? Although,
And
Jill, you're looking very matrixy with the sunglasses. Well done.
I was going to
Thanks.
comment
Yeah.
on your sunglasses.
I almost want to go dun 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 dun. Give it some spy break. That is a great song. But as many people said in the chat tonight that Hackers have got a fantastic soundtrack, it has indeed got a fantastic soundtrack. And since we came up with the idea about covering Hackers, I've been sneaking a Hacker soundtrack tune into my playlist on the radio during the week. That's a bit of self-indulgence on my part, and I can do it because it's my show and I can do what I want with it.
Who are the bands, the rock groups, the songs being played? Because I couldn't picture any of them, even though it is a good soundtrack.
Left Field. There's John Lydon's Open Up. There's, in fact, I've got the track list somewhere on my phone. No
MC
Propeller
says
Heads.
Propeller Heads?
No, that was the Spy Break song from Matrix.
Hmm.
The dun 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 dun. That is a great song by them, Propeller Heads. I love it. But yeah, let me just get it up on my doof.
What do I got? Kruder and Dorfmeister, Underworld, The Prodigy, Left Field, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Voodoo People from The Prodigy, Open Up from Left Field, Carl Cox with Phoebus Apollo, Josh Abrams, Orbital, Halcyon, On and On. That is a fantastic. I've got that album, and you two guys would love a track off that because one of the tracks is called Where Time Becomes a Loop, and it's Michael Dorn going, there is the theory of the Mobius, a twist in the fabric of space where time becomes a loop. And for about 2 minutes and 32 seconds, it's Mr. Wolf going, where time becomes loop, where time becomes loop. And it's all like phasing around itself and going in and out. You want to look that one up. It's shit, but it's Trek. So I like it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's quite a few
sounds fun.
Prodigy tracks, Stereo MCs, Ramshackle, Urban Dance Squad.
Squeeze?
There's even, Heaven Knows.
Urban Dance Squad, they kind of sounded like Rage Against the Machine to me.
A little bit, yeah. But it is a fantastic, I mean, I love Orbital anyway. But, it is just so reminiscent to that early cyberpunk phase where, internet. I mean, I was an early adopter of the internet, and I'd been sort of dabbling from about 1990. We first had a dabble at school. Oh, look, we've got this computer. It connects up to the World Wide Web. And where you went in all like the Usenet type of places where they were all just text boards. But then again, we'd already had experience of that. We're doing the BBSs with the Commodore 64 scene. Oh, wow. Anybody experience a C64 BBS environment before?
I have.
Oh, man.
My friends had a bulletin board. That's how they met a lot of their friends in high school, because you'd all meet somebody and all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is yours? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Tom says, and a great point, that the Urban Dance Squad are live in the film. They are. I forgot about that. Halcyon is a masterpiece. It's not bad. I do like it. That was also in another film in the 90s. Anybody know which other film Halcyon and On was used in?
Oh, only because I looked it up, so I'd be a faker.
Get over here! Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I went to the cinema on opening night to see that film. I was slightly disappointed, but the scorpion scenes kind of made up for it when he was doing the "Get over here!" And then he had a secondary line of dialogue where he was fighting Johnny Cage, and he went, "Get down here!" And that was if you know, you know. If you played MK on the Genesis at that time, it was like an awesome in joke, and everybody like went, "Whoa, he's got another line!" Oh, wow. A lot of people were stoked and quite buzzed about that happening. Oh, I miss that vibe of going to the cinema back in the day. You know, when it was actually fun and it was actually affordable, where you didn't need to take out a small mortgage or sell one of your children's kidneys to pay to go to the cinema. It's just too expensive now.
It's very expensive. I
For
mean,
what
I
it
just went a
is.
few weeks ago, and for just my son and I, we dropped $71.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because there's normally, we average 4 per visit, 2 adults, 2 children. Well, youngest daughter's at the age now where she does have to pay full price. It's just lucky my youngest son, he doesn't have to pay full price just yet because he's still under that age. But you go there, and a family of 4, by the time you've done with snacks, but we take our own drinks and whatnot and popcorn. But still.
You have any idea how difficult it is to smuggle a 6-pack into a cinema? I take care of it. But I'm just saying it's not easy.
It's difficult. Yes.
Do you walk funny when you walk into the cinema?
You know what? This is the thing. It takes a lot of social engineering. It takes a lot of walking funny, and buying my own beverage. I'm just messing with you. They sell beer. They sell beer at the cinema.
If Bob and Doug can take a big jar of moths into a movie theater, I'm sure you can get away with a 6-pack.
I just show up with a small bottle of beer and say, "There's a mouse in this. Why did you sell me a mouse in this beer?" And then I get
12 or 24 Elsinores, sir.
I would like 12, please. I don't want to be greedy. There's only one mouse.
Oh, I miss those little bottles. We do get beers here, but they're usually Belgian beers, what come in the Canadian size fishing bottles. You know, the little bottles used to take on ice fishing trips. That's what we did anyway back in the day, but that's a different story.
But I love this movie so much just for the technology that is it's forward thinking, but it's also, it is prescient. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. And it references the past of its time, but also looks to the future. And as Jill said, it's like, oh yeah, when she got to see it, it's like, oh yeah, no, this came to pass.
Tom says in the chat,
except for the gift battles.
Tom says in the chat, $74. Wait, what?
Yeah, trust me.
MC makes a valid point here. Lots of Vaseline needed for a cinema visit, especially when Scotty's taking a keg in with him and nobody can see it. Yeah, why
and
don't
a
you
poncho?
I've just had an idea. Why don't you invent a keg vest? You know,
invent one. I bought one on Amazon last week.
Oh shit! Somebody beat me to it. Oh well, never mind.
Sorry, man.
No, not forgetting the phone usage. Yeah. Tom says, I hate cinemas now. People always talking in film and always telling them to shut the F up. Yeah. What's this? Oh, yeah. Good point, Gavin Blackburn. Little Brasserie French lager. Yeah. Yeah, they're the little Canadian bottles. Oh, it seems like Lidl's everywhere. That's like a hack on the planet, Lidl, because they're here, they're everywhere. They're like dog crap on every street corner now.
Pocket-sized.
If you could sum up the 90s in a film, would it be Hackers?
I think it does a good job. Again,
from the technical side,
yeah. I mean, my being slightly older, some of the technology that they have in the film, like say, speaks to me in the earlier 80s, but like we were pointing out during the film, the laptops and everything. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, with 2 meg of RAM. Oh look, you've got 2 meg of RAM. I'll never forget the absolute joy of delight I experienced the first time I bought a motherboard with AGP on board, with an AGP slot. Do you remember that back in the day, gamer?
Was it a 486?
No, they were on Pentium 2, Pentium 3 era machines.
Yeah. But no, having it the AGP slot, it's like, ooh, I can really play some nice games now.
Oh yeah, when you could have a graphics card with 256 meg of memory on board. Wow, those were the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Screw the 4K you had on an Atari. We've got 200.
Well, you think about the steps in technology just over that period of time. You were,
Oh yeah.
talk about the Commodore 64 and even the early Apple devices. You get in the mid 90s and things start to accelerate. So that's kind of like we were just saying, kind of the movie's forward thinking. There was a lot of things that weren't that too far off from when the film first aired in 95 to what actually became reality. So yeah, but no, you made a great point about the AGB card, man. That I remember back in the day being able to play, games where you could actually, you were talking about like QuickTime movies. I had a 386 computer with an amber monitor, and you couldn't do much of anything. And then, man, when I got that color monitor, and then I had a decent graphics card, I was like, "Wow, this is as far as technology is going to go." And kind of laughing about.
Yeah, this movie had a mix of that, a mix of
Yeah.
some of those green terminals, and then the giant CRT monitors with the.
Isn't it funny how art imitates life and life imitates art eventually?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this quote from Z3PO. PCI AGP was an immense upgrade. It was indeed.
Yeah.
I've still got ISA cards knocking about what would fetch a small fortune if I sold them to the right people. Bring back the 3DFX card. Oh, 3DFX, Voodoo
I had one of those.
3DFX, yeah.
Yep.
Hey, back in the day, as long as it ran Doom and Wolfenstein, I was a happy bunny. And Duke Nukem. You got to have Duke Nukem back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned basically the 3 classic games for the period.
Yeah. Oh, Duke Nukem 3D. Do you remember when that came out? That was awesome. I love that day.
See, when I started getting further along, having the LucasArts games, for me, that was like
Monkey Island.
Whatever graphics those games required would be what I would go out and buy to make sure I could play them at full,
Monkey
30
Island.
frames per second or whatever it was at the time.
That was groundbreaking at the time with the music and everything and the graphics. And
I love pointing
Maniac Mansion.
Oh, Prince of Persia.
Oh, that's a great one.
Oh, do you know, I really, really crave a DOS gaming session. Just for shits and giggles.
Well, you should, not to plug, but to plug. If you want to check out, we've Jill and I on Anti-Derivative Jill's channel have done Space Quest and Leisure Suit Larry.
Wow. Oh, Space Quest.
Yeah, I found it a lot of fun.
Is that the Don Bluth one, or am I thinking of Space Ace? I think I'm thinking
You're
of
thinking of
Space
Space Ace. Yeah.
Oh, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, the Don Bluth games. Wow. I love those games.
They were better on arcade, but yeah, no, they were rad.
Which reminds me, Flashback on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. Anybody play that?
Oh, yeah.
From Delphine. Oh, Tom says, this was a great game. Speedball 2. I used to play that on the Amiga. I used to love Speedball. And no, it's not drugs, Scotty. Don't get excited.
I was going to say, I can only have one Speedball.
Well, John Belushi tried one once, didn't he? And he never looked back.
Well, he couldn't. No choice.
Oh, dear. What a great loss. And that always reminds me of the Blues Brothers. Now I'm thinking of Steven Spielberg in the Blues Brothers as a favor to Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
It's
great.
He was the Cook County Court tax assessor, wasn't he?
Yes.
Tax clerk. Oh,
now I have to rewatch the film. He's the guy behind the counter at the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I like how all the SWAT team blokes going, hut, 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 hut. Oh, John Candy. Hi, pass me the mic. What car are we? 5-5. Hi, this is car 55. We're in a truck. I love that. That is the line of the film for me. Fucking hell. Oh, well, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've really... Oh, yeah, Tom says Another World. That was the alleged sequel to Flashback. and I've got that for the PS1. I haven't played that in ages, which might remind me to play. I might play Flashback Friday. Oh, and I can't Friday night because I'll be doing Fubar Friday.
Fubar,
Crikey. Yeah, I forgot about that almost. So I want to say thank you to JavaScript Jinx. I like that.
Thanks.
Is that your
I was waiting for
IRC
someone
handle?
It is now. Well, I just came up with it for this live stream. So
Well,
yeah,
it can't be now. They shut all the relays down, haven't they, for IRC now?
Oh, did they? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I
last
didn't know it was
year.
dead. Damn, that sucks. Well,
Yeah, pretty much.
another one bites the dust. I also miss AIM, even though I didn't like AOL.
Oh yeah.
AIM
I remember that. Yeah. That's going back some. And those awful chat rooms on AOL, Jesus, they were terrible.
That's where I got my feet wet when I was a kid, chatting to
See, I was never on AOL.
To other weirdos. I remember once some guy was, I think in hindsight, he was trying to cajole me for bum fun times, and I didn't understand the lingo. And he asked me if my man C word was tight, and I didn't know how to respond. And I went, "No, he's all right. He always buys a round of drinks," which somebody who doesn't know that kind of in speak would respond that way. I don't know.
No, you needed Chris Hansen to help you out with that one.
Well, I wouldn't have got that if it hadn't been for YouTube. He's the guy who catches the sick folks, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Scotty, as always, you're my second favorite Canadian after Vex.
Thank you so much. And I don't think I've earned that title, but I'm happy to be your third.
But I don't qualify as Canadian. So, Gamer, as always, fantastic to have you on the channel. Thank you for giving us your time tonight and joining in.
Thank you, Trev.
And I hope I'm glad nobody's pinched your turdis. I can still see it behind you. Nobody steals John Wick's TARDIS. He killed a Dalek with a fucking pencil. A fucking pencil. Oh, that's a great film. Thank you.
You know when you did that voice, just now and earlier, you sound like what's his face in the Mark
Watto. He sounds like Watto. It's the only impression he has
from Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
I kid with love.
Speaking of fame, knowing people in the voicey world, I know somebody who did a voice in Phantom Menace.
Really?
True.
Peter Sefronowitz?
He was Axe Mo in the Imperial Senate scene. You know, the three-eyed alien types.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
He voices that guy.
Wow. You run into everybody there in England, don't you?
And he, I tell you something, he's made a bloody meal out of it because that's all he goes on about. I was in Star Wars. Yeah. Okay. Cheers, Mark. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time in the chat. Please do like and comment. I didn't put my scrolly thing on. I'll just do it quickly before we disappear. There we go. Hey, love your support. Please subscribe, like the stream, and drop a comment below. And treating me to a coffee would be awesome too. Thank you very much. You can help support the channel because we're not monetized yet. And I think Satan will be skating to work when that finally does happen. Probably YouTube will have gone bust and it'll be boarded up. Who knows? Who cares? We're just doing it for the fun. But if we can get a bit of cash in to help support the channel, because it's not bloody cheap streaming, is it? I don't know if anybody else is spending a daft amount of money just for a laugh. No.
Oh, yeah.
Just me. It is.
No,
crazy.
Yeah, I am.
Crazy money. But I'm not like you stars of YouTube. I can't afford StreamYard yet.
Have we met?
You are a star.
A very
I'm a vagabond. I'm a freak.
It won't take you long.
I've got to thank somebody anyway, because apparently I've been informed that the channel was being perused by a couple of people over on YouTube doing a show about up and coming channels to Ryan Roger Athay, who's apparently done a bit of a feature on the channel. So thank you for that.
Nice.
Shout out to you. I really appreciate that.
Anybody who's anybody is gets a rising star video from Ryan, so you made it.
Oh, well, that's high praise. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you, guys. And we'll catch you next week for another Monday Night Mayhem on Monday, obviously. And I wasn't going to spill the beans, but what I will say, I'm going to give a bit of a clue as to our next film, what we're going to chat about. Would you like to know more?
Ooh.
Anybody want to have a guess at what it is, our next film?
I want to hang in disbelief.
Would you like to know
Tell us.
more?
I would.
Go on. Anybody want?
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, we're doing Starship Troopers next week. So thank you for joining us, and we'll catch up with you soon.